Philadelphia, Pennsylvania has always been a city of passionate sports fans, especially when it comes to professional football. Tonight, 65,000 faithful are ready to rock Veterans Stadium as their up-and-coming Eagles battle the Atlanta Falcons. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Patrick. It's great to have you with us. Both of these teams come in at 2-2. The Falcons trying to return to the form that took them to the Super Bowl just 2 short years ago. Then they had a dominant running game. Now they are struggling to find it. The Eagles are rebuilding. A young and aggressive defense is their base, but Andy Reid's offense will take time, especially with a young quarterback. Paul and Joe, tonight both teams are looking for progress, and progress would mean 3-2.
Michael, the struggle for Atlanta is in their offensive line. And Joe, Dan Reeves is so upset with his offensive line, he's replaced his 2 starting offensive guards. They replaced him with 2 rookies on the right-hand side. But let us not forget, in the first 4 games, Atlanta's given up 16 sacks, 8 in the last game alone.
Well, Paul, that's why Dan Reeves has simplified this offense. He wants to take the pressure off those young guys. They also have to come out and have success early. Now, I define success as 2 consecutive first downs. That's what they're going to need to do to allow Chris Chandler to get into a rhythm and hopefully put that big play back in this offense.
And defensively, Atlanta's not going to do anything different than the last 3 teams that played Philadelphia, because in the first game, Deuce Staley had over 200 yards against Dallas. They're going to put 8 men in the box and try to stop the run.
And that has resulted in 38 yards a game for Deuce Staley. That's not going to cut it tonight. I think the burden of responsibility falls on Donovan McNabb's shoulder. He's got to get out early in this football game and complete passes. He's got to back that defense up. Then they'll be able to run the football.
And, Michael, if Donovan doesn't do it, then we won't see Deuce on the loose.
All right, thanks, guys. The Falcons and the Eagles coming up tonight. Someone gets their wings clipped. Tune in, log on, speak out. It's Enhanced TV, the online complement to tonight's broadcast. You can log on to ESPN.com or NFL.com now and click the Enhanced TV logo. Let's get down to the sideline. Solomon Wilcots with running back Jamal Anderson.
Thanks, Mike. Jamal, once again, you guys reshuffle the offensive line. 2 rookies starting on the right side. What's the confidence level in this group right now?
Well, we feel pretty good. Anytime you make changes, it's tough. We're going to miss the guys that were in there, but we got to work to try to get better and find the best 5 guys on the field, and that's something that we're trying to do. And the more comfortable we get, the better it is going to be for everybody.
Now, this Eagles defense is quick, and they're very aggressive. How are you prepared to accept their challenge tonight?
Absolutely. You got to love football games like this. This is the kind of game that I love to play, old school football, and it's not going to be enough to step up and be as intense as them. We have to take it a step further, be more physical, more aggressive, and match their intensity.
I know you're pumped. Yesterday was your 27th birthday, so happy birthday, man.
Thank you very much, and I got to put on a show. I got to.
All right, and normally it's the fans here in Philadelphia who are used to waiting to see who will fall first, the Autumn Leaves or the Eagles. Well, tonight, that skepticism has given way to optimism here in the city of brotherly love.
It's going to be like a Terror Dome. They're going to boo them from snap one.
When you're playing the Eagles and you think it's going to be an easy game, that's when we become dangerous.
Back at the Vet in Philadelphia, the Eagles and the Falcons ready to go. Dan Reeves in his 20th year as a head coach, Andy Reid on the right in his 2nd. Will we ever see another 20-year coach? Andy Reid would like to think so, and he'd like to think so right here in Philadelphia. There's another legend, Morton Anderson. In his 19th year out of Michigan State, he'll be kicking to Brian Mitchell and Damian Douglas. Mitchell, one of the greatest return men in the history of the NFL. Line drive kick. Mitchell from the goal line. Breaks the tackle. Mitchell to the 47. The Eagles offense has Donovan McNabb at quarterback. He has great athletic ability. He's learning the West Coast offense on the fly. Deuce Staley rushed for 201 yards in the opener. He's been a target ever since. Martin, Small, Johnson, and Lewis, the tight end. The offensive line, huge and young. Thomas, Wellborn, Miller, Mayberry, and John Runyon, who signed a $30 million deal to leave Tennessee. Donovan McNabb, who started late in the year last season. Wants to throw on first down. Good protection. Over the middle, complete. He got his tight end at the 44-yard line, Chad Lewis.
This This is the way Andy Reid wanted to start the football game. He wanted to get Donovan comfortable. Chad Lewis has got terrific hands. He's working inside the tight end position. You see him just work the middle of the field against Marty Carter. Works back to the ball. That's an excellent throw against some pretty darn tight coverage.
Lewis coming off a career day last week. He had 5 catches. Deuce. Not much as Brooking ran him down from behind. Atlanta's defense has been shredded up front. Kearney, Travis Hall, who leads the line in tackles, Jasper and Smith. The linebackers, Crockett, Jesse Tuggle, a 5-time Pro Bowler and the leader in tackles 12 years in a row, and Brooking. Excellent corners with Buchanan and Ashley Ambrose, who signed after a career-high 6 picks with New Orleans. Carter and McBurrows, the safeties. Ronnie Bradford a little banged up at that free safety spot. 30 yard. McNabb on a short roll. Was that in the flat complete? First down to Nay Brown, second-year player out of North Carolina.
You know what you like about this play is that they really don't take a chance with Donovan McNabb here. Nay Brown just slips right out. You only need about 1.5 yards. Watch number 85, Nay Brown. Just slips to the outside. He's got the first down. Pick it up, get out of bounds. It's a nice throw. I'll tell you, the 2 throws that McNabb has made so far have been to the outside of the receivers where he's the only guy that can make the catch.
First down, Eagles at the Falcons 41. Play action by McNabb. Rifles this one and caught at the 31. Another grab by Lewis. Boy, that ball had to be zinged in there.
It was not only zinged, but Chad Lewis is very impressive. He could well have some of the best hands in the league. Tony Gonzalez in Kansas City, and watch this catch. Again, against Marty Carter. Now watch him lean out. Look at him get out and get that ball.
You can't cover anybody any better than that. No. Lewis, of his 30 career catches coming into this game, he's been very efficient, 9 of them for touchdowns. Stanley Pritchett is in as the fullback in front of Deuce Staley. Staley behind Pritchett lowers his head inside the 28-yard line. Deuce had a great start to the season. 201 yards against Dallas. Since then, in 3 games, he's only had 115. But he has been a marked man. People aren't just going to let him run free.
Well, we talked about at the beginning what Atlanta's doing, what everybody else did the last 3 games is they're putting like 7 and 8 guys in the box, and they're moving guys and walking them up. They're not going to allow him to beat him. They're going to make Donovan McNabb beat him.
Falcons show blitz. Come with 5. McNabb, incomplete, overthrown in the end zone.
Paul, you were talking about the 8 guys going up against Andy Reid's offense. Watch Marty Carter, the safety, number 25. He's going to walk on up. You see him? Here's all these guys. Now they're going to try and bring pressure from everywhere. Donovan McNabb does a nice job of sliding in the pocket. You don't have to run away. You just slide, then sets himself up to make a throw down the field to avoid the sack. That's good management of a game.
2 tight end formation on 2nd and 10. Falcons show blitz again and come with it quickly out in the flat. That's the tight end Jeff Robinson. And Andy Reid got him in a trade with Green Bay where he used to coach.
What you're seeing is 2 things. You're seeing Donovan McNabb able to get rid of the ball quickly so he doesn't have to worry about the protection part of it. And also from Philadelphia's offense, it's respect for the corners of the Atlanta Falcons. The tight ends have caught 3 of the 4 passes, and that's what you want to do is work against the safeties and the linebackers when you've got corners like Buchanan and Ambrose.
Cecil Martin, the blocking back there. There's Buchanan. Martin in front of Deuce Staley. Play action again by McNabb. Martin in the flat, but a nice tackle by Brooking. Got him around the ankles and got him at the line of scrimmage.
Boy, you know, you've got Cecil Martin out on a linebacker. That's exactly the matchup that you want. But the only problem is Keith Brooking, number 56, the linebacker, he reads this perfectly, and he gets out on the back. Look at this coverage by number 56, Brooking. Perfect tackle, no gain at all on the play, 4th down.
Brooking out of Georgia Tech can really run. And David Akers has come on to try a 39-yard field goal. Akers 5 for 5. Second-year man out of Louisville, perfect. Drives it through. And the Eagles with an impressive opening drive take a 3-0 lead over the Falcons. These overhead shots provided by the Yahoo Sports Aerial Cam, high above Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Beautiful evening for a football game, and the Eagles have enjoyed it so far. They're up 3-0. Akers to kick. And the ever-exciting Tim Dwight, just back after missing 2 weeks for appendicitis, is back to receive. There's a marker down. Dwight bobbles it, picks it up at the 4. Dwight just throws himself into it, but only gets back to the 18-yard line. Now we'll check the penalty.
Offside Philadelphia. I would make them kick this again.
Really, why?
Well, because they get it back to the 20. That's one reason he bobbled the ball.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
I know, that's true. I'm just making a very interesting observation right off the bat, you know.
Offside, kicking team, number 45. 5-yard penalty, re-kick.
NFL Countdown every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Join Chris Berman and the gang for the NFL's best pregame show. Then at 7:30, it's all the highlights on prime time.
What a game for Jimmy Smith. Just getting warmed up, 45-yard touchdown.
There is Tim Dwight. He is third in the NFL, averaging what you see there on kick returns. He has just been, he's so exciting to watch.
He's back after 2.5 weeks of having an appendectomy, and they did the laparoscopic surgery. And now Brian Dawkins, who's the safety for the Eagles, is not playing. He had an appendectomy also, and he's taken a little bit longer to come back. There's Brian Dawkins. Both of them. This is the battle of appendectomies. Right now, Tim Dwight is ahead 1-0 over Brian Dawkins. I talked to him at practice yesterday, as a matter of fact, and he's hoping to be back for the Redskin game next week, but he's lost about 12 pounds, and he's just not certain that whether that's going to happen or not.
Made the Pro Bowl last year. He is a terrific safety.
Tim Dwight always reminds me when he gets the balls like somebody passed him a baton, and now he's in a track meet.
Reminds me of a bowling ball in an alley.
Oh, he's just
but he's a small, he's only a duck pin ball. He's not very big. Akers to kick again, high and short. Dwight runs up on it, but it's taken by Kozlowski, one of the up men, and Kozlowski lumbers out to the 40. The Falcons have Chris Chandler at quarterback, the two-time Pro Bowler, an excellent deep thrower. So far, 4 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. Jamal Anderson coming off a major knee injury. 2 years ago, he had over 1,800 yards. Christian, Jefferson, Matheson, Kelly, the tight end. Up front, major changes. Whitfield, Banks, Collins, and the rookies, Claridge and Michael Thompson, who will see the first snap of his career right now. Chandler to throw on first down and has the completion to Sean Jefferson. The Eagles defense up front, Mamula, Simon, Thomas, and Hugh Douglas, who's tied for second in the NFL with 6.5 sacks. The linebackers, Emmons, Jeremiah Trotter, very physical in the middle, and the leading tackler, and Gardner. A very good secondary. Vincent and Taylor at the corners. Tim Houck for the injured Brian Dawkins, and more. Hugh Douglas, 6.5 sacks. He has had 9 sacks in his last 6 starts. Really benefited from the addition of Simon to this line. Jamal Anderson, and he is green. Tim Houck. He just came sailing in from the secondary.
Well, what happens, Mike, is you've got too many guys coming and you don't have enough people to block them. Watch number 45, Houck. Watch the hole open, and here's Jamal Anderson. Houck is in the backfield. That's a 2-yard loss because there was nobody there to block him.
And what you have to be aware of now is Chris Chandler is very good at the hard count. He knows that the Eagles defense is very aggressive. I wouldn't be surprised early in this game if he varies his count to try and help his offensive line out a bit.
Houck is only 5'10", 187 pounds. Eagles jump. Chandler out into the flat. Mathis can't quite get his hands on it. Good call, Mr. Theismann. They had him jumping.
Well, he does, and you'll see him do that. As a matter of fact, go all the way back to Tokyo when we did our first preseason game. He used it in that game quite a bit, and it requires a lot of discipline by your offensive line, the backs, and the receivers. And they have that on this offense, and Chris will use that. It's a way to slow down the defense.
Offside defense, number 53. 5-yard penalty, repeat, second down.
That was Douglas.
You'll see Chandler get under center. And there comes the hard count. Watch him accentuate it. Hut, there it is. Hugh Douglas with that one step. There it is again. Up, caught in no man's land.
You know, it's amazing. He's doing these hard counts and these long counts with 2 rookies on the right-hand side of this offensive line.
You're right, Paul. 2nd and 7. Draw play. Jamal didn't get much out of it. There's Bob Hallen, who has been benched. He was the starting left guard. And Anthony Redmond, who was a free agent signee this year, they were very pleased with Redmond. Redmond is on the inactive list for tonight's game. It's tough to go from starter to inactive.
Not if you struggle. And it goes in a heartbeat.
3rd and 6. And Mamula comes across.
Yeah,
was he drawn?
Yeah, no, he wasn't. That's where Michael Thompson was set up trying to anticipate the snap count himself, I believe. This will be a great debate.
Prior to the snap, false start offense, number 66. 5-yard penalty remains, 3rd down.
One way the offensive line can help one another is if Travis Klarich, who moved to guard, puts a hand out and sort of holds on to Michael Thompson a little bit. Watch right there. See him move ever so slightly. That's all you have to do is rock back a little bit. When it gets real loud, if the linemen sort of touch hands, when one moves, the other moves in sync with it.
So we have exchanged 5-yard penalties when it's 3rd and 11. Blitz coming. Incomplete. Mathis went to the outside. Chandler threw over the middle. But that offensive line did a nice job that time picking up the blitz.
Bob Whitfield on Hugh Douglas. And this is going to go on all night long. Whitfield says that Hugh Douglas never stops. Look at this. Now, there's Whitfield's got him around the neck. Now, you look at this. He pushes him outside. The pass is gone. That's the only reason why Hugh Douglas peels off. And then you're right. The ball's thrown to nowhere.
Brian Mitchell is back, waiting the punt of Dan Straczynski. Most of Straczynski's punts are not run back. He is an expert at getting the ball way up there. And Mitchell will be forced to signal the fair catch and make it at the 15-yard line. 36-yard punt, but no return. We're at the vet in Philadelphia. The Eagles on top by a field goal.
With the second pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select Donovan McNabb, quarterback, Syracuse University.
Donovan, all we can say is welcome to Philadelphia. That's the way they greet Santa Claus. Most of the people up here wanted Ricky Williams. I think in the long run, not that Ricky's not a great player, he certainly is, but I think a Donovan McNabb is what they needed, especially when they already had Deuce Staley. Play action by McNabb. Great athlete. And Smart goes down at the 31. And if you look back as to why they took a quarterback, you don't need any more than this information. A different guy every year. Brister, Cunningham, Pete, Detmer, Hoying, the other Detmer, and Doug Peterson.
And 2000 will be Donovan McNabb. It'll be another one.
Well, the one thing about it, though, talking to Donovan, he said his family is still a little upset about it. You know, he's going to be.
Blame him.
Yeah, I don't either, but he's going to be great here.
Deuce Staley. And the crowd chants Deuce. Listen, they have booed the losers of Easter egg hunts in this city. So if you don't do well, you're going to get it.
When I played with the Redskins, we had a guy dress up as an Indian as a mascot for us. He came here, got beat up, and thrown out of the stands one year. So this is a very tough crowd to sit in if you're not an Eagle fan. They really get behind their Eagles. They'll either get behind them or they'll really get mad at them, but they're very, very committed either way.
One of the things you really don't see much of here is Atlanta jerseys on people.
No. Now that's the mask before was a little frightening. McNabb, plenty of time. Throws underneath to Staley, and he is gang tackled short of the 40.
You know, that's Keith Brooking again. The last series of downs, he had the fullback coming out. This time, he's got the halfback, Deuce Staley. They are putting someone on Deuce Staley all the time.
Good idea.
I would think so.
Rich Brooks, the assistant head coach and defensive coordinator, really has to try and get more out of his front four. They rely an awful lot on the guys up front, Smith, Jasper, Hall, and Kearney, to try and generate pass rush so that their linebackers can flow to the backs.
But, Joe, they lost both of their defensive ends, Lester Archambault and Chuck Smith, in free agency, so that really handicapped them. McNabb on the roll again, has the complete pass. Johnson is leveled by Jesse Tuggle. Holy cow.
Well, Jesse Tuggle is a little bit upset. He only has 10 tackles going into this game, and he thinks it's a misprint somewhere. Now, you watch Mr. Jesse Tuggle, number 58. Here's Charles Johnson. Get out, Charles. Here he comes. 58. Wham!
That counts for 2.
Yeah, there's a tackle and a half.
Oh,
and you know, that may just cost them.
That may be $7,500 for that tackle.
May just cost. You know, you hate to bring that up for somebody to look at, and I'm sure the commissioner and his office will, but you just have to leave guys' heads alone.
And Jesse Tuggle is not like that. He's a good player and a good guy. And around Torrance Small, it's a halfback pass. Small unloads Johnson. It's out there. Buchanan. Beautiful recovery and the interception. Ray Buchanan, one of the great defensive backs in the NFL, wasn't fooled, and then you saw his closing speed.
That was the 10th play for the Eagles. That was the 10th play. It was on the board for the 10th play for Andy Reid. Right now, he wishes it was 100.
Ray Buchanan with his 18th interception since the start of the 97 season.
Mike, if I was the Falcons here right now, what I'd like to go, I might call just a play-action pass and maybe try and get Terrence Mathis down the field one-on-one.
Out of the eye. Jamal Anderson with a stutter step, got to the 5 for a yard, but no more.
Ray Buchanan on that last play, the interception. You'll see he is looking in the backfield. As the reverse comes along, as the receiver comes in and goes, he backs up to a position where he is always having vision of the back. You see Torrance Small, he sees the backfield. Now he plays the ball. Torrance should have never thrown this because the receiver was never open. And that was just a terrific play by Ray Buchanan.
You're going to tell a receiver when he has an opportunity to throw the ball not to throw it?
Great
Are you
point.
kidding? He's throwing it.
He's throwing it, buddy. Chandler from his own end zone. Incomplete, flag is down. Bobby Taylor was in a hand fight on defense, and they're saying Taylor interfered with Sean Jefferson. Big play.
That's why you make the throw. In all the way the rules are set up now in the National Football League, if you get close to bumping the guy down the field, you're more than likely going to get an opportunity.
Pass interference, defense, number 21. That's an automatic first down.
It's a 45-yard penalty.
He's got his arm out. You know, that's two guys just running arm to arm down the field, and I wouldn't necessarily call that pass interference.
Well, Bobby Taylor actually thought at the end Sean Jefferson pushed him off.
And it looked like he did.
The thing is, when the official sees that arm out across, that's a point of emphasis this year. And the arm was there. Christian in the flat. Knocked out of bounds by Barry Gardner.
I love what Chris Chandler's doing, Joe. He's directing everybody. He knows that he's got some new people on the offensive line. He's got 2 rookies to his right. He's moving tight ends around. He's having people. He's just telling them, here's where you go.
Well, Reggie Kelly's in his 2nd year.
Yeah,
you're right. He's got all these young guys up
Just
front.
go back over here and sit down and wait a minute.
Dan Reeves said this was the most athletic combination he could put on the offensive line. Replaces the left guard, moves to right tackle, the right to right guard, and puts in a new right tackle. And they've done very well so far. Jamal Anderson pounding forward to the 45. He'll be short of a first down.
Atlanta has taken a page out of the way Philadelphia's approached this game. Throw early, try and loosen the defense up because they're aggressive as well. Then you get a chance to work Jamal into the offense.
He was really upset last week, especially on the play where he had his leg bent backwards against St. Louis, that some of his teammates didn't come to his immediate rescue.
And turned into a very large scoring play, which is commonplace for the Rams. They have large ones every week.
3rd and short out of the eye. Play action, Chandler. Incomplete. Reggie Kelly couldn't hold it. Boy, that was a pretty throw by Chandler.
Bobby Taylor just hand fights him all the way.
What a great play by Bobby Taylor. And I'm going to tell you, it looked a little questionable. Did he get a hold of him on the way out, Reggie Kelly? Nice fake. This holds the defense. And look at this throw. No, this is just, I'm going to tell you what Taylor does at the end, when that ball's out, watch his right arm. He just strips his right arm down. Kelly has no chance of catching the ball. Good play.
And catchable ball.
Boy, and a nice fake by Jamal Anderson as well as Chandler. Straczynski. Dan Reeves says you just don't run him back. You're not going to run this one back. That could bring rain. Free kick made it to 20, and Mitchell was surrounded by Atlanta Falcons. A punt of only 25, but no return. Still 3-0 Eagles. One of the enduring symbols of our nation. You wouldn't think a bell would be all that impressive, but when you see it in person, it's amazing. Rung once and it split. We've had better workmanship since then. McNabb, this one's incomplete, and Tuggle, nice defensive play. ESPN Sunday Night Football is brought to you by ROLAIDS. Rolade spells relief. By Miller Lite. Grab a Miller Lite. It's Miller time. And by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Downtown Philadelphia. History is everywhere in this city. Nay Brown, number 85, comes in as a 3rd wide receiver for Donovan McNabb. Brown, the intended receiver, and that's knocked away by Ambrose. Quite a free agent pickup, Ashley Ambrose. Oh, that was Bradford checking. He is in there with a torn ab muscle and didn't start tonight for McBurrows. Oh, it was Ambrose. All right.
Sometimes those twos look like threes.
Well, you know what happens when you put 7 and 8 guys in the box like that? That forces the quarterback to throw quickly, just like right now. So these corners are good enough to just stay right up in their face.
3rd and 10. McNabb on a sprint out. So mark it down. He throws. That may be short of a first down. Caught by Nay Brown. It's short of our gold 1st and 10 line, as Brown apparently unaware where the sticks were. But another offside against the Falcons.
Paul sometimes gets upset when a quarterback throws to a back. It's 3rd and 16 and he throws a 5 or 6 yard pass. I don't necessarily agree with him in times like that. This time, you have to know how far the sticks are.
Offside, defense, number 95. 5-yard penalty remains. 3rd down.
Yeah, Jasper is in there for injured Shane Dronette.
If it's 3rd and 10 and you're trying to pick up the first down, you've got to go 11 yards. Donovan's buying some time on the sprint out. Watch the outside receiver. Now work yourself back. You've got to go 2 or 3 more steps. If you're going to do that, you've got to understand that if you're going to catch the ball, you have to get the first down.
When don't you agree with me?
Never.
McNabb, good protection.
Oh, man.
And Johnson is mugged as he got to the 25 by McBurrows.
I'm telling you, you talk about some great coverage in the secondary. Donovan McNabb is really only on that one pass that he threw into the end zone away from the defender as he looked downfield. And he has time.
What they're doing is they're counting on the receivers to break the tackles. The Falcons have done a terrific job of tackling.
Sean Landeta with that tremendous longevity. He'll be kicking to Tim Dwight. The number 1 in the NFC 4 times in his career in punting average. Dwight. Great hesitation move, trying to get to the outside, cuts it back, and dives out to the 39-yard line. 6-yard return after a 40-yard punt for Tim Dwight. Back after this. Zenobia and William Moore, the grandparents of Jamal Anderson. He was born in New Jersey, grew up on the West Coast, and then played football at Utah and was the 201st player taken in the '94 draft. A lot of guys who aren't playing anymore or never played were taken before Jamal Anderson. Behind Christian. Gets 9, close to 10. Jamal Anderson visited with us last night, and he was, as you might imagine, skeptical about the changes in the offensive line. He certainly wasn't pleased with the running lanes he'd had in the first 4 ball games, but he thinks this team can get back to where it was.
Well, what he's talking about is this, and they're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. This is probably the best defense they've faced so far this year. And he said, I love smash mouth football. I just like to run up in there. I know I'm going to get hit. That's part of the game, but I like it.
Anderson off left tackle again, spins and crosses midfield into Philadelphia territory.
The other thing that Jamal does is he does a lot of self-scouting. He'll look at practice film and he'll look at game film. He'll go all the way back to '98 when he had that outstanding year, and he'll compare himself now to what he was doing then. And what he's looking for is he favoring the leg at all? Is he pushing off? Is he able to cut like he did? He feels like he is. So the only thing that he's lost has been the power when he makes contact. He doesn't feel like he has that same burst through the hole.
And for most guys, especially running backs, that 2-year window for an ACL is what he's facing. Chandler, nice throw, quick pass, complete down to the 44 to Sean Jefferson. Bobby Taylor on the tackle. And that's going to end the first quarter in Philadelphia. The Falcons are driving, but they trail the Eagles 3-0. Welcome back to the Vet in Philadelphia. The Eagles have not been a good football team for quite a while, but I think with Andy Reid as the head coach and Tom Modrak as the personnel guy, they are certainly taking steps to go in the right direction.
Well, they are, and especially defensively. You know, you got Hugh Douglas as a relentless pass rusher, a relentless defensive man. And Joe, what he does is he makes all the other guys play the same way he does.
And Jim Johnson did a terrific job with them taking over last year. One of really the unsung, I think, great defensive coordinators in this league. They had 46 turnovers last year, led the league. You've got also that front 4 has been signed now. They're going to be here for at least 2 or 3 years to play together. So they've got a nice solid base to work off of.
What they need is the stability to go with one program and let it develop. Comes the blitz. Chandler, it's picked off right into the hands of Hugh Douglas, who dropped back from his defensive end spot in a zone blitz.
Didn't I just talk about Hugh Douglas? Did I say that he's relentless?
You're visionary.
Yeah, well, as a pass rusher he is, but how about now as a defender? Hugh Douglas is on the line of scrimmage. They believe that he's going to come on a blitz, but he doesn't. Look what he does. Here's the defensive end. He drops back. Look at the great hands and the great reaction.
Chris Chandler does exactly what a quarterback should. Here comes the 4 from that side. He reads the blitz break off. This is your zone blitz. You bring people to confuse the quarterback. You get somebody out into the area where you know he's going to throw the hot. That's the concept behind it.
Chandler intercepted by Hugh Douglas, the first of his career. McNabb Finally decides to run. Makes a great move to pick up 5 more. Got a good block from Deuce Staley downfield. That's what kind of runner that kid is, and he is so smart.
Well, you know, you talk about his athleticism, and he just showed it to you now. I mean, he's a young quarterback. He looked downfield. He didn't throw the ball away, Joe. He just did what he was supposed to do.
You see Donovan McNabb, 10 of the 31 starting quarterbacks were drafted in 98 and 99. And through the first 4 weeks of the season, the quarterbacks have rushed more than any time in the history of the league. It's part of the youth movement. They can't quite get the coverages down yet, but they sure have got a great pair of legs.
Nay Brown comes in on 1st and 10 for Philadelphia at the Atlanta 45. Fake the toss. McNabb. That one was behind his receiver, who was wide open at the 31-yard line. Johnson had a couple of steps. ESPN is your home for Major League Baseball's divisional playoffs beginning this Tuesday at 1 Eastern. The Braves visit the Cardinals, followed at 4, the Mariners and the White Sox. Coverage starts at 12:30 with baseball tonight. In that case, I guess it would be baseball today. 4 wide receivers on the field for the Eagles on 2nd and 10. Staley. Boy, he was collared by Brady Smith.
You know, when you put 4 wides out, and what that forces Atlanta to do, to take their linebackers back outside, okay? And it puts you in 5 and 6 defensive backs. And what they're depending on now is a defensive line, Brady Smith being one of those guys, number 91, to make the play at the line of scrimmage. That was an excellent play by a defensive end.
Smith, a starter a year ago in New Orleans, signed as a free agent. 3rd and 9 for the Eagles, up 3-0. McNabb with a strike to Todd Pinkston, the rookie out of Southern Mississippi, makes the grab, and yes, it is a first down. And I've got to say, that offensive line is doing a brilliant job.
Not just the offensive line, but everybody. I talked to Donovan McNabb about Todd Pinkston. He said the guy is a playmaker. Not necessarily the fastest guy, but look at the room they give him. Nice job on Ashley Ambrose. Gets him to turn his hips and break it out.
All right, you talk about that offensive line. This is the biggest offensive line in the National Football League. And just take a look at when you have time to step up, find your lane, and throw the ball, you should complete it.
Deuce Staley behind Pritchett. Gets to the 30.
Remember when we sat and talked with Deuce yesterday? You know, so many times we were used to seeing running backs break big plays. He said, if I can gain 3-4 yards on every carry, I'll consider it a very big plus tonight against a very good defense.
The coaches went back and looked at 325 carries that he had, and they said less than 24 times he was brought down by the first guy that hit him. He is just a power runner.
And a darn good receiver, too.
Yes, he is. And around Johnson. Look at Buchanan. Ray Buchanan came racing up from the secondary to make a saving tackle.
You know, you talk about experience, instincts, and a guy not leaving his position, and that's Ray Buchanan. We saw him on the reverse pass, and he makes the interception. Now you've got him on a run. Number 34 is Ray Buchanan. Watch this. Here he comes from the other side of the field. He knows that he's got Charles Johnson.
See, I don't think you have to be a Pro Bowler just to be a good pass cover guy. That is a complete game that he's showing.
And he is a Pro Bowler and will be again. 3rd and 7. McNabb with a short set. And that one's caught by Small. Torrance Small in a pass that looked like would be batted down by Ambrose. Had it get right to his hands, and he grabbed it.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. Again, it starts with this offensive line, and man, do they do a job.
Torrance Small, who's been out of the lineup, up top on the left, little in and out move. Look at that throw. That's impressive. It's a nice concentration and catch, but boy, that's a terrific throw.
That's the 8th different receiver McNabb has hit tonight, and that was terrific coverage by Ambrose. Wasn't much out there except Brooking and Ambrose. There's a marker down on that play. We'll check it for you. Boy, Brooking's got that great speed.
Well, 4 guys had great speed.
Yes, they did.
They flipped that
You
ball.
might want to take that one out of the playbook. I don't think it fooled many people.
Oh, boy. They got a chop block in there. But I'm going to tell you what, I'd throw this play out. I mean, it fooled nobody.
Well, if Deuce Staley got the only vote, it's gone.
Andy Reid will vote on it. He'll have the ultimate.
That's when you look around. Who called that play? Who called that play?
There were 2 fouls on the offense. Holding, number 76, will be declined. Personal foul, illegal crack bug, number 82 is accepted, 15 yards, repeat, first down.
It's Damian Douglas, the second-year wide receiver.
80.
I'll tell you, that'll make a coach mad when you have 2 choices.
Makes one happy, makes the other one angry.
Yeah. Whoa. The only good thing about it is still first down.
Well, they had an illegal block and holding, and still 4 guys were close enough to make the tackle.
For a 1-yard loss. That tells you how bad that play really is.
First and 25. McNabb fakes one way, goes back the other. It's a tight end screen to Lewis. Excellent tackling by the Falcons. Deuce Staley had one of the greatest opening games in the history of the National Football League this year. He just shredded the Dallas Cowboys for 201 yards. Ate them up in Dallas. But since then, he has been a marked man. He was held to only 11 yards in the second game of the season, got 60 in the third and only 44 in the fourth. And it goes back to what we said at the top of the broadcast. Defenses are saying, hey, if you're going to rush for 201 yards, not against us, buddy.
Well, that's why Donovan McNabb is able to throw and been successful so far on early downs.
McNabb, excellent protection, rifles it, tipped, and picked off. There is a marker down, but Ronnie Bradford gets the pick on the tip. Now we'll check the penalty.
That was Ray Buchanan, I believe, number 34, that stepped in front and knocked the ball down. They got holding. I think it's hands to the face against the offense.
Looked like Trey Thomas, the left tackle, got his hand
Illegal
up in the
hands
face mask.
to the face, offense, number 72. The penalty is declined, Atlanta reception, first down.
And he got his hands up there a couple of times. They flagged it, so the interception will stand. Ronnie Bradford with his first of the season. It's the Ben Franklin Bridge going from New Jersey into Philadelphia.
Yep. Take that to Atlantic City. Drive right over.
Where?
That. Atlantic City. It's out on the coast of Jersey.
What's down there? Water?
It's a beach.
Beautiful
nice
beach.
Beach.
Beautiful beach. Well, the beach, you know, it's I used to go there when I was a kid.
The Eagles with 105 yards in total offense so far. The Falcons have been held to 39. And McNabb has thrown for 65 yards in this ballgame. Good first half for him. Jamal Anderson lowers the shoulder and pounds out to the 31. Mathis threw him a nice block downfield.
Bob Whitfield, number 70, the left tackle. He says that Hugh Douglas is relentless. Watch this block. Number 70 is Whitfield. He's got help from the tight end, but he really doesn't need it. He just turns Hugh Douglas around, and here comes Jamal Anderson to the outside. And you don't want to be a safety.
Jamal would just as soon run over you till he can get his speed back a little bit more, as opposed to try and run around you.
117 straight starts tonight, a club record. Came out of Stanford at age 20. He's been a good one ever since. Chandler, pump fake, wants to go deep. Jefferson, and lost track of it, it appears. Sunday Night Football next week at 8:30 Eastern with a big game in the AFC Central. Jimmy Smith and the Jacksonville Jaguars look for a little revenge as they host Tony Banks and the Baltimore Ravens. Coverage begins at 7:30 with prime time. In Philadelphia for the Eagles and the Falcons. 9:07 to go in the first half. 3rd and 1, Atlanta. Jamal Anderson, no running room, dives forward near the 32, and it looks like he landed right on our goal 1st and 10 line.
Well, the Eagles put an awful lot of people at the line of scrimmage, and if they come up short, as Chris Chandler is signaling, I don't think Dan Reeves is inclined to go for it here. He'll have to kick it away. The Eagles had 10 guys within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage.
You know, one of the reasons why you don't go for it here, and you can see Chandler trying to settle it, it's only a little bit.
Because you're on your own 33.
Yeah, you're on your own 33, but your defense is playing so well. Why back them into a hole? I mean, you know, Philadelphia's only got 3 points on these guys, and they're playing extremely well. Leave them alone.
Straczynski will punt to Brian Mitchell. Mitchell with 10 career returns for touchdowns.
Now you've got a game of delay a game.
Yeah, but that doesn't hurt you.
Seems like a pretty simple call if the play clock ran down to 0, but there may have been a malfunction.
Well, you might have the play clock in the stadium may not coincide with the play clock that the officials.
There's no foul. There was a delay in spotting the ball. It's still 4th down.
The officials hadn't started their clock and marking it for play as early as the clock operator here in the stadium did. John Harbaugh, special teams coach.
And the special teams have been terrific for the Falcons. Brian Mitchell. Eric Metcalf has returned more kicks for touchdowns in his NFL career. He needs 1 to tie Metcalf. Hard running up to the 32. A 9-yard return for Brian Mitchell after a 46-yard punt. A defensive battle so far. 3-0 Eagles.
Andy Reid is charged with trying to bring Donovan McNabb along in this West Coast offense, and one of the toughest things is just being able to spit out the verbiage. Trying to call a play in this offense is a mouthful.
Eagles start from their 31. McNabb quickly underneath to Luther Broughton, the second tight end.
The thing that makes this system so difficult in my mind is most systems in the National Football League have numbers that refer to patterns by wide receivers, tight ends, and the backs. In this offense, everything is memorized. Everything has a name. Even if you check it at the line of scrimmage, it doesn't go to a number. It goes to Renegade or something else. And that's one of the things that Andy Reid is trying to help Donovan speed up the process of not only calling the play, but visualizing it in his mind.
Deuce Staley. Flag is down as Staley about a yard shy of a first down. We have an injury report on John Welborn, the left guard. He's out with a foot injury, and they're having to do some x-rays for him. Doug Brzezinski, number 74, is in his place at left guard, and this one will come back after a hold.
Offense, number 74. 10-yard penalty. Repeat. 2nd down.
You just heard Joe talk about the complex verbiage of the West Coast offense. We asked Donovan McNabb to call a play.
Red left switch, tight close, Z right, sprint right, G, U corner, halfback flat.
Sure.
He just called 7 different plays.
Well, he directed everybody on the field. He directed the line, himself, a guard, the receivers, everyone.
And that was after you asked him to slow it down. McNabb wants to go deep. Small. Boy, brilliant coverage by Buchanan. He just blanketed him. And there's a marker down back where McNabb threw the ball. And this will go against the Eagles.
And that could be Trey Thomas again. This one's called for hands up around the face. He got one in the last series.
Illegal hands to the face. Offense, number 74. The penalty is declined, which makes it 3rd down.
Even though he's had a couple of penalties, this guy was finally the answer to the question they've been asking at left tackle for the entire decade.
Doug Brzezinski, 74. You see him right there. There's the hands to the face. That is just an excellent call. Holding before, hands to the face. He's got 2 10-yarders in a row. But this was declined.
Trey Thomas, as I said.
Oh, boy.
Not much there.
Michael, I want to try and explain. We've been talking about, as the fans boo a very short game. I'm going to explain this play to you. It's red left. That means the split back and tight end are on the left. Switch means the fullback and wide receiver switch positions. Tight close is the tight end in close as well as the receiver. Z right sends the receiver in the backfield now in motion to the right. Sprint right G is the quarterback going right. G is the guard. U is the Pennell grouping. Corner is the route by the tight end. And halfback is in the flat.
Nice job, Joe.
Did you do that one again? Tim Dwight is back. There's another flag down. Dwight trying to get to the sideline and forced out of bounds. 7-yard return. We'll check this marker.
Holding again. That's 2 holdings and the hands to the face in 3 plays.
The natives are getting restless. And this is a way to blow a 3-0 lead after you played very well.
And this is one that I would refuse if I was Dan Reeves. Pretty good field position, about the 36-yard line.
Holding, kicking team, number 83. The penalties declined. First down.
Jeff Thomason, one of the tight ends, called for the hold, but it's declined. Donovan McNabb has his club up by 3. These overhead shots provided by the Yahoo Sports aerial cam on a beautiful night high above Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. The Eagles, with a series of penalties, have given up the football to the Falcons. Atlanta starts from its own 35. Anderson, the deep man in the eye. Blitz coming. Chandler rolls away from it and throws low, intended for Reggie Kelly. Keith Brooking, obviously limping, has a foot injury. He'll be going in for x-rays. Already seen him make 3 excellent plays in pass coverage.
Well, I'll tell you that, when you have a linebacker that can cover like this guy, you really miss him.
You know, I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't say specifically that the field here caused that, but this is really one of the worst surfaces that these guys play on in the National Football League, if not the worst.
Tim Dwight comes in as a wide receiver. He's the man in motion. Draw play, Jamal Anderson. Anderson gets out to the 44. And speaking of stadiums, there is Jeffrey Lurie, the Eagles owner. And they had cut a deal with the state of Pennsylvania. You get a new stadium here for the Eagles, a new stadium for the Phillies, one for the Steelers and one for the Pirates. It's going well in Pittsburgh. Not going well at all here. They have a November 30th deadline, and they're afraid if they don't live up to that November 30th deadline with the city government, then it'll cost them a year. They won't get the stadium in 2002. It'll be until 2003, and the fans, of course, are behind this football team and not the city government. 3rd and 2. Anderson, a little stutter step, and he is stacked up short of the first down. Eagles defense is a rising unit.
That's where you get a kid. That's where you go get a guy like Corey Simon, their #1 pick at the defensive tackle position. He's the type of a guy who can penetrate for you. Watch number 90. He takes the block on. There's a stalemate at the line, and there you see him go right under Jamal and make the play.
They are 7th in the NFL in total defense coming into this game, and they've only given up 13 points in the last 2 weeks. None tonight. Mitchell deep again for Straczynski's punt. This one returnable. And Mitchell will call fair catch and make it at the 15. A 40-yard kick by Straczynski. It's still a 3-point ball game. Philadelphia. Donovan McNabb has thrown for 37 yards in the first quarter, 32 in the second quarter. Deuce Staley with only 7 carries. Now, their game plan, Joe, was to have McNabb come out and loosen him up because they knew they'd be laying for Staley. Is it time to go back to the run?
No, you haven't done anything to loosen him up yet. I still think you throw.
And McNabb wants to. And tipped away from Johnson at the last moment. Williams got back there. Nice defensive effort.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're watching Atlanta play defense, and we're talking about how Philly is such a great defensive football team. Atlanta is showing them everything. Ashley Ambrose and Ray Buchanan on the corners, these guys are doing a tremendous job. There's just really no place to throw the ball deep.
You know, and Atlanta, I think, unfairly got criticized defensively because they've gotten lit up in the first 4 games, but they went up against Greasy, Warner, Garcia, and Berline. Those guys are ranked in the top 6 in the National Football League as quarterback ratings. So, I mean, they've been up against some pretty good ones.
And Donovan McNabb keeping everybody happy. This is a quarterback draw. She saw his pass distribution right before that play. He's across the 20 to almost the 21. They need to reach the 25 for a first down.
And the interesting thing about Atlanta is they're going with 4 down linemen, 1 linebacker, and 6 defensive backs. So they're just saying, hey, you want to go ahead and try to run, go ahead. But you're not going to run against those guys because the safeties are staying right along the line of scrimmage. So they still have 7 men in that box.
He got the ball to Chad Lewis, his tight end, early in the game. This is the kind of situation in the West Coast offense where the tight end helps convert these first downs.
Staley out of the backfield, and Deuce Staley across the 25. That'll be a first down. Hit from behind by Henri Crockett. Let's check in with Solomon Wilcots. Solly?
Yeah, Mike, when you talk about the learning curve in the West Coast offense, well, Steve Young told me that it takes about 2 years to become fluent with its complex language. He says, now after you overcome the language barrier, he said the biggest challenge for a quarterback like Donovan McNabb is to resist trying to make big plays by running the ball. He has to throw the ball. So far tonight, he's been doing a good job with that. And Steve Young says he also has to find the fullback as his 3rd or 4th option. And you know what? You have to listen to a guy like Steve Young.
Absolutely. McNabb on a sprint gets out of the pocket and throws it away. The other thing that helps Donovan McNabb is the fact that they ran a very complex Syracuse offense under Paul Pasqualoni. He had virtually everything except the West Coast offense, and then Paul Pasqualoni went out to talk to Andy Reid when he was in Green Bay and put part of that in there.
And Andy Reid was so surprised when he visited with him, and he said, you mean McNabb has to learn all this stuff? This was before he knew he was going to become the head coach of the Eagles when he was still in Green Bay.
The only problem is it takes 2 years to learn. They have to get all his verbiage down. Now they trade your players. Start with new guys all over again.
Takes you 2 years to find somebody to throw it to.
Rifles this one, and there's the big tight end. Lewis, an inviting target at 6'6", 252.
If you ever watch the game, Joe,
yeah.
I mean, I'm talking on both sides,
right now,
where you see as soon as a guy catches the ball, there's a defensive guy right there.
Yep.
I mean, there's just no place to run after the catch.
Quarterbacks have to have a place to throw the football. Look at that lane he has to throw the ball. Tight end right there. Nice visual. Nice job by Lewis sliding over into the lane so that it's nice, clear path between he and Donovan.
We talked about McNabb having to be smart to run this offense. Lewis pretty bright, too. He majored in Chinese and communications. McNabb on the run. This one caught by Johnson. Ball comes loose, but he's down by contact at the 39-yard line.
I have been very impressed with Donovan McNabb's ability to throw the ball both out of the pocket and on the run. One of the things that Andy Reid talked about with him is he said, I want him to work on his accuracy. I have seen some throws tonight where he has had no margin of error and been able to squeeze it in. This was another one.
And still, the Eagles are only up by 3 as we have reached the 2-minute warning in Philadelphia. It's a field goal game. Coming up at the half, Chris Berman and the Toyota Halftime Show, our Sports Center in-game segment, all the news, scores, and highlights, the fastest 3 minutes in television, and the Major League Baseball playoff picture.
When he does that fastest 3 minutes, does he breathe?
No. He breathes after.
He actually has gills. Chris has gills. He doesn't need it. It just breathes right next to his ear. If you look real close, you can see him.
Now that's good. Guy's got his own pictures.
Hey.
He even knows Joe.
Who's that? I have no idea.
No Susie?
I'm glad I'm not in that one. Be in trouble. There you go, Merrill Hodge and him.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
You're glad you're not in the middle one?
In trouble with Susie.
McNabb, excellent protection again, and right through the hands of Torrance Small. Beautiful throw.
Well, they're finally putting the ball down the field a little bit. Of the 23 previous passes, the longest was 14. Only 2 were over 10 yards. Small's got to make this catch. That's an excellent throw. Right through his hands.
Hit Ashley Ambrose right in the head.
Right through Torrance Small's hands.
Boy, the way that ball bounced, they're lucky it wasn't picked, but he's got to make that catch.
Donovan has a gun.
Problem last year, he threw everything with that kind of speed, even little flares. Blitz coming. Small got that one. Makes a move, first down and more to the Atlanta 42. How about that? Comes right back to the guy who dropped the easy pass and gives him another chance.
He's also a guy who's been out of the lineup most of this first part of the season. I mean, it's good to have all of his receivers back. Torrance Small, number 80, working outside against Williams. It's a lot of hand fighting. This is a nice move right here.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm really impressed with, though, and you pointed it out in a couple plays before, is the lanes that Donovan McNabb has to throw the ball. And that's due to the offensive line, the blocking up front. That time, Atlanta came with a blitz. They didn't even get close to him, and that's why you saw the one-on-one coverage downfield with Small and Williams.
One of the raps on Donovan McNabb coming out of college was that he wasn't accurate enough. Certainly he has been accurate enough tonight.
West Coast offense philosophy. Be solid up the middle, come around the corners, and give the quarterback a lane to throw through. This is textbook right here. This is what you want. The center and 2 guards have to be strong, hold the rushers at the line of scrimmage, let the tackles run them around the cup, and give the quarterback a lane.
1:44 to go in the half. Eagles up by 3 and driving. McNabb again. Small with a catch at the 23. Buchanan was there, but couldn't stop it.
Boy, I'll tell you, what a great throw by Donovan McNabb, because Buchanan was closing on the play, and Donovan McNabb, he steps up. He's thinking about running. Then he sees Small open downfield, and he just lets it fly. Watch this. Watch him step up. Here he sees him now. Look at this ball come out. Perfect.
I go right back to what Solomon just said when he was talking to Steve Young. One of the disciplines that you have to have in this offense is to be able to throw the football and not try and take off with it. We saw it right there.
You also heard Steve refer to the fact that you have to spread it around, find a third receiver. He's found 9 guys tonight.
Well, and you look at that play, you talk about clock management. That play only took 10 seconds. They took a timeout.
And it doesn't look like Keith Brooking is going to have an opportunity to come back into this ball game the way he's limping.
Looks perhaps even worse coming back on the field than he did when he left, and Akers trying to keep the leg warm. He's got a tremendous strength in that leg. They were concerned about his accuracy, but he's been perfect so far this year. Lewis inside the 20 to the 18.
Now you've got to get him to the line of scrimmage. You have no timeouts. Now the clock has got to become a factor for Donovan McNabb. Don't waste too much time.
Well, he's got to listen for that real long play call.
They have the one timeout left. That's it.
What is that play called? They give him all that stuff through his head?
That was a goal line play.
Not talking about.
No, that was goal line.
That play now. Do they have to give him that whole play in his head?
Yeah, that all comes out, and then he has to repeat it.
Well, you haven't got time.
McNabb under pressure this time. Got away. 10, 5, out of bounds at the 4. And he took a wicked shot.
Yeah, but you know, quarterbacks with this kind of speed and this kind of talent and athleticism, they just happen to have a feel of when to get out of there. Now watch this. He's going to look downfield. He feels everything collapsing. Now watch him get out. And once he gets out, he gets himself to the outside, gets as many yards as he can. Get out of bounds, man.
I love the fact that he has a presence on the field. You saw him switch the ball from his right hand to his left to avoid somebody trying to knock it out of his hands.
On this drive, McNabb 6 out of 9 for 61, 2 runs for 21. It is first and goal for the Eagles. McNabb wanted a little shovel pass. It wasn't there. And now he does a smart thing and gets out of bounds.
No, it's that time he made a mistake. He got flustered. He should have thrown the ball away. He winds up taking about a 3-yard loss. Instead, he could have thrown the ball away and not given up that yardage.
Travis Hall, slow to get up for the Falcons. He's a terrific player, 100% on every play, always their leading tackler up front. And he's really upset that he got hit.
I think he's upset because the trainers came out, and once they come on the field, he has to come out for a play. This is going to be a little shovel pass. It doesn't get executed. Watch number 98, Travis Hall. He just gets buried in the double team and then winds up getting tripped over. Now, Donovan right here should have thrown the ball away. You don't need to take the loss.
Travis Hall, incidentally, only the 6th native Alaskan ever to play in the National Football League.
Wow. And it's a long flight from Nome and places like that, too.
Used to hunt moose for food. He did. I'm serious. That's how he ate.
We believe you.
Hunted moose.
Well, I'll tell you right here, Andy Reid doesn't necessarily look for moose. He's looking for Deuce to get in the end zone.
McNabb. Flag is down, and he throws the ball out of bounds.
Well, they're going to call holding on this play.
When the timing breaks down in a short pass route, you almost can't blame the offensive lineman because the quarterback is supposed to get rid of the football. Now, this thing was like 1st and goal on the 4. Now you're going to be back around the 15.
Holding offense number 65. 10-yard penalty remains. 2nd down.
Bubba Miller, the starting center. It's pretty tough on offensive linemen when the quarterback is scrambling around for that long. Somebody's going to do something eventually.
Well, yeah, and you know, sometimes you wonder when a guy takes a holding penalty, they're doing the best they can to protect their quarterback. And that time, I agree with you. McNabb should have gotten rid of the ball a lot sooner than he did.
6 penalties, 85 yards against the Eagles.
You got Chad Lewis outside. Look for him to try and work to him somewhere out there.
2nd and goal. McNabb hit as he throws. The Falcons thought they had a sack as Schweda and Chris White were in there.
Man, you know, you cannot say enough about the defensive line of the Atlanta Falcons, what they're doing, because most of the time they're just coming with 4 guys, and these guys are getting close. You know, you got Donovan McNabb who can motor in that pocket, get himself out, but these guys have not quit at all, and you've got an offense that hadn't put a point on the board.
Now it's 3rd and goal from the 17. McNabb underneath to Staley, and there's nothing there. Jesse Tuggle was on him in a heartbeat.
Oh, they're going. And that's not, they're not saying deuce either.
No, not this time.
This is boo.
Andy Reid is going to let the clock run down to set up the field goal. And Atlanta has stopped the clock. ESPN Sunday Night Football is brought to you by Hewlett-Packard, inventing new ways to live and work. By Charles Schwab, a proud sponsor of ESPN and ABC Primetime Football. By 1-800-COLLECT, the easy way to save. And by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL, an official airline of the Super Bowl. Put a lot of trust in this young man, releasing the veteran Norm Johnson. They were concerned about his accuracy, but he is 6 out of 6 this year. Has already hit in this game from 39. We'll try this one from 38.
He does have a strong leg.
Distance is not a problem.
Got a fire for effect here.
And Akers converts again. Monday Night Countdown tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern. Mike Tirico and the gang review Sunday's top stories and preview the Monday night matchup. Then at 9 is ABC's Monday Night Football. Ricky Watters and the Seahawks enter the unfriendly confines of Arrowhead to battle the Chiefs. So far tonight, it may not have been as artistic as you might like, but the Eagles are happy with it. They're up 6-0.
Well, I think it's somewhat expected. For the Eagles, you've got a young quarterback learning an offense. On the other side, for the Falcons, you've got two rookies playing on the right side of the line. You almost expect two very good defenses to dominate this game, and that's exactly what happened. It's a game of field position, and the turnovers are 1-1.
Well, I'll tell you, Atlanta's got to feel pretty good. I mean, they're down by 6. You don't feel good about that. But, I mean, as badly as they've played offensively, they're only down by, one touchdown. They're winning the football game.
By one play.
That's right.
See what the Eagles do with only 9 seconds left for the kick. Usually Akers pretty good about putting it down at the goal line or better, or they try to squib it with Tim Dwight back there.
He just kicked it out of here.
Well, we said leg strength was not a problem.
I'll tell you what. With this guy, you don't have to worry about, that little rolling kick.
Atlanta's offensive line led by the veteran Bob Whitfield. Certainly they were concerned about it with 3 guys in new spots tonight. It has not been an A, but it certainly is above a C. They have acquitted themselves pretty well.
Well, they've done a lot better than what they had before in there, and that's why they've made the change. They're just trying to find 5 guys that are going to be consistent. Whitfield is not a problem.
No, sir. 9 seconds to go in the half. Jamal Anderson on the draw, and he lost his footing. And both teams will let the clock wind down. That's the end of the first half with the score. The Eagles 6, the Falcons nothing. Now let's join Chris Berman for the Sports Center in-game, the Toyota halftime show.
Not one.
When you're playing the Eagles and you think it's going to be an easy game, that's when we become dangerous.
Well, the fans have wanted to really be in it, but with only 2 field goals, they haven't found a way to do it quite yet, and they've been unhappy a couple of times with their ball club. We're in Philadelphia, where the Eagles, on the strength of a couple of field goals by Akers, lead at 6-0. A few minutes ago, Solomon Wilcots talked to head coach Andy Reid. Solomon?
Coach, you've been successful in your efforts to pass the ball, hoping to loosen things up in the running game, but Deuce Staley only 7 attempts for 15 yards in the first half. What adjustments do you make?
Well, I'll tell you, they've done a nice job. Those safeties are filling aggressively, and we'll see how it looks this second half. See if we have loosened them up truly, Solomon.
You still rely on Donovan McNabb to make plays in the passing game then?
Well, he and the receivers are doing a nice job, and we'll keep doing that, but we'll try to mix in some more run.
All right, Coach, good luck in the second half. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Solomon. And the Eagles will kick off to start the second half here at the Vet in Philadelphia. Both of the clubs 2-2. And Akers, who put the last one to the end line of the end zone to kick. Not as deep this time. Dwight, running start at the 5. The former track star across the 30 to the 32-yard line. Take a look at the first half statistics from this game, and the one thing that really stands out, the Falcons have only had 19 plays, 11 runs, and 8 passing attempts for a total of 55 yards.
And they have not converted on 3rd down. In that last drive that Philadelphia had before the half, that was a 15-play drive, and Atlanta's only had the ball 19 plays. How about those numbers?
Staley and McNabb waiting their turn. Right now it's up to Chris Chandler and company. Chandler to throw on first down. Excellent coverage by Taylor on Mathis.
Well, we talked about Hugh Douglas coming in here with 6.5 sacks, and he did get an interception in the first half, but he's playing up against Bob Whitfield, who is one of the great tackles in the game, left tackle. And here's what's been going on in the first half between Whitfield and Douglas. Whitfield's number 70, Douglas is 53. There's the first play. Second one, he gets a little help with Christian on the outside. Watch this play. He just buries Douglas here. But now here's Hugh Douglas. Drops off in coverage, gets an interception for Philadelphia. Nice play.
Draw play, Jamal Anderson. Nice move to get away from the first tackler and gets positive yardage out of it.
Hollis Thomas is still looking for Jamal Anderson. Does a nice job on penetration. Jamal says, you don't think my knee is in pretty good shape? I'm going left. No, you're not. You're not going to touch me. Let's just move right here. Hollis, he's got him in his short, right there. Boom. Got him in his sights, and he's gone.
Two tight ends come in. Jamal out of Utah.
I think his leg's all right.
I think it's just fine. 3rd and 6. Blitz coming. Chandler trying to roll, throws incomplete. Pass coverage on both sides has been sensational tonight.
0 for 5 on 3rd downs. I mean, you can't win football games doing that.
Now, the defenses are very similar. They rely on the guys up, 4 guys up front to put pressure. They both defensive coordinators, Rich Brooks and Jim Johnson, like to be aggressive. They both have excellent corners to be able to take away your receivers.
Straczynski to kick to Mitchell. 6th in the NFL coming in punt returns, 13.6 each time. Mitchell from the 20. Back to the 25. 44-yard punt, a return of 5. 6-0 Eagles from Philadelphia. 206 games for Jesse Tuggle, the second most for an undrafted defensive player. Joe Nash had 218. 14 years ago when he first went to camp, and there were about 100 guys in camp, he wanted to know where he stood. There were 17 linebackers on the roster. He said, where do I stand? And they said, you're number 17. He has since gone to 5 Pro Bowls, had 12 straight years with 100 tackles or better. He's a special player. Deuce Staley. Ball comes loose. Falcons have it. Recovered by Marty Carter, and then a lot of pushing and shoving after the play. The officials talking about it, and they say it is Falcons ball.
Deuce is saying he was stopped and he was down. He wasn't anywhere near down. This is just relentless pursuit by the Falcons. There you see Brady Smith go by. You start to see him just tear away. When linebackers get in there, Ed Jasper, number 95, just tears it out. Marty Carter with the recovery.
The Falcons defense has given the offense great position from the 30-yard line. Blitz, and here goes Jamal Anderson. The Eagles are just coming on every play, and Deuce Staley with the uncharacteristic fumble.
Well, what happens is when you have a guy, number 54, Jeremiah Trotter, the middle linebacker, he just comes up and tees off on the center and just knocks the center back into the backfield. When you do that, there's no way that any guards can pull out and get any, get penetration down the field.
And Trotter, a rising star in the NFL at middle linebacker. Another blitz. Chandler. No place to go. First sack of the night. Corey Simon gets it, the rookie from FSU.
I just talked about Jeremiah Trotter, number 54, and watch what he does. Now, Bob Christian is a fullback. He's going to come up past the center. Look at it. He beats the center and the guard. Christian knocks him on the ground, but he's the guy that really frees it up for the defensive lineman to get in the backfield. It's a great play.
And that took him out of field goal range. Wasn't that some block by Christian to get up there that fast?
Well, nobody even slows Trotter down. When he decides he's going to blitz up the middle, the linemen are too slow to get to him.
And Jim Johnson sending everybody. It's 3rd and 18.
Here he comes
again. Here they come again. Chandler hit as he throws. Kozlowski can't hold it. What a throw by Chandler, who knew he was going to be blasted.
Oh, he took a shot.
Chris Chandler is one tough guy. He absolutely gets nailed. There's the blitz. He's on his back. But watch this throw. Perfectly thrown. Troy Vincent does a terrific job. Watch him get his hand in. There comes the left hand, just knocking it away from Kozlowski.
And now they'll have to punt, so they can't take advantage of the turnover. Straczynski very good at hanging it high inside the 10. What a defensive stand by the Eagles. Not only did they not give up a touchdown, they forced them out of field goal range. And this will be down at the 7-yard line. Excellent play that time by John Dale Carty. A blown opportunity for the Atlanta Falcons. They're still down 6-0. This is South Street in Philadelphia, and besides Dick Clark, this is the most famous thing this city has to offer, the cheese sticks.
Yeah.
And they're not fattening either.
I just had one.
Not a bit.
I just had one at halftime. Ooh, they're good.
Not a bit.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So is the Eagles defense. McNabb, plenty of time. Dumps it off the catch made by Cecil Martin. Breaks a tackle, breaks another one. And Cecil Martin, the second-year man out of Wisconsin.
Paul has been talking all night about the job of the offensive line. The Eagles are backed up on their own 8-yard line, and Donovan McNabb stands in there like he's in a baby cradle. He feels so comfortable. Look at him in the pocket. Look at the time. And then he's able to dump it off. And then Cecil Martin just turns it on. Patrick Kearney ultimately tries to tackle him, can't get him. Henri Crockett brings him down.
22-yard gain, the longest gain of the night in this game. McNabb, this one dropped by Charles Johnson. Let's go to Solomon Wilcots. Solly?
Yeah, Mike, the x-rays on Atlanta Falcon linebacker Keith Brooken are negative, but I'm told that he will not return to the ball game.
All right, thanks, Solomon. That's a big blow for them because he's such an excellent pass cover guy. Be 2nd and 10 for the Eagles, and Martin checks back in at fullback. He and Pritchett alternate a lot in front of Deuce Staley. Falcon defense has certainly done its job tonight, hasn't it? Showed blitz and then backed off. The pass underneath is tipped. Ambrose got a hand around on it. Excellent coverage on Torrance Small.
When you don't have speed at the wide receiver position, when you have corners that are this good, they'll jump every route. Look, he gives them a lot of room. Then he sneaks up, and look at him look in the backfield. Gets that left hand in and gets the ball up in the air, hoping that one of the other defenders will get it. Left hand around. You've got to try and run by these guys a little bit to back them off. And I don't believe that the Eagles have the speed to do it.
They don't come much better than Ambrose and Buchanan.
Got him.
Flags are down. McNabb over the middle. Small. Torrance Small is going to go all the way. Touchdown. There is a marker down.
Offside Atlanta. This will count.
A 70-yard strike from Donovan McNabb, his longest pass play of the season.
It was the left defensive end for Atlanta, and that's usually Patrick Kearney.
There's decline. Touchdown.
Well, you have to force the ball. I don't care if a guy's, you don't think they can run as fast as a lot of other guys. Torrance Small goes uncontested in the middle of the field. This is an excellent read by Donovan McNabb, and Small having trouble holding on to this ball.
Boy, he split the safeties, and they didn't get there till well after he caught.
I personally think that Torrance Small has trouble catching balls from the left side when he looks over his right shoulder. His left hand is behind it as a catcher, and his right one is probably the strength because he struggled with 2 of them. One he's missed, this one he caught.
Up by 12, they will go for 2.
You remember that play we called, Paul? Red left switch, tight close, Z right, sprint right, GU corner, halfback flat. They're not going to run it here because they've got 5 wide receivers. This is a quarterback draw look right here.
McNabb with plenty of time. Hey, the left hand was pretty good that time.
Yeah.
Which hand is he having problems catching with?
Well, he did have a problem with his left in the previous, up to about a few minutes ago.
I'm just checking, because I want to know which hand is his bad hand.
It wasn't the hand, it's coming from the left side, but hey.
Looked like he had a catcher's mitt on that one. McNabb converts on the two-pointer to Torrance Small. Since 1997, the Falcons have allowed 50 pass plays or 40 or more yards. That's the most in the NFL. Dan Reeves has seen his share of bombs go against his club since 97, and that one really hurt, 70 yards. Dwight with a running start at the 1. Can't get outside, cut down by his own man at the 16. And the Eagles are jacked.
That last pass play, Mike, you're talking about long pass plays. This is splitting the seam against double coverage. You'll see the corners roll up, the safeties bail. The corners go up. Jesse Tuggle is supposed to get all the way back in the middle to cover Torrance Small, and you can't do that. Jesse Tuggle's been in this league 14 years. Watch number 58 try and go back to the middle. Torrance Small right down the middle, splits the safeties. They don't make the tackle. He's off to the races.
I don't care what middle linebacker you're asking to do it. Even
It's
Zach Thomas, he's not going to get that deep.
Anybody. It's too much to ask to get that deep.
Falcons now have to show something on offense, down by 14. Mathis makes the catch out at the 27. First grab for Terrence Mathis tonight.
You know, it's not a question of whether Chris Chandler can get the ball there or not. It's does he have enough time to be able to throw the ball and find an open receiver.
Now is when you start to have concerns a little bit with the youth on the right side. If I'm Jim Johnson, I'm going to load up over there against those two young guys, Claridge and Thompson, and see if they can handle the zone blitz from that side.
Jamal Anderson has a whole host of green shirts waiting for him.
Well,
led by Jeremiah Trotter, the middle linebacker.
Jeremiah Trotter, but I'm going to tell you something. Hugh Douglas is the guy in the backfield. Watch on the bottom side of your screen. Here's Jeremiah Trotter, 54. You see Hugh Douglas in the backfield? There's nobody back there now that can block on Jeremiah Trotter. Here comes Douglas inside. He makes Jamal go outside, and there's Trotter sitting there waiting on him, number 54.
3rd and a yard. Jamal Anderson has the first down to the 29. Let's go to Solomon Wilcots.
Yeah, Mike, as you see the Atlanta Falcons offensive line just moving the line forward to pick up that first down. And talking to Dan Reeves at halftime, he said he is not happy with this offensive line and their blocking. Now, I asked him if simplifying the offense in order to help that offensive line, has it hurt them in their efforts to try to fully attack this Eagles defense? He simply said, Solomon, we're not that simple.
Jefferson, the motion man, on 1st and 10. Chandler to Christian. Christian dives to the 34. Sunday Night Football next week at 8:30 Eastern with a big game in the AFC Central. Jimmy Smith and the Jacksonville Jaguars look for a little revenge as they host Tony Banks and the Baltimore Ravens. Coverage begins at 7:30 with prime time. That was the first down the Atlanta Falcons have had in their last 6 drives. Blitz comes again. Chandler. And had Jefferson out there, couldn't connect with him. The coverage by Troy Vincent.
I still believe that Chris Chandler and Sean Jefferson are trying to get on the same page. Remember, he was an offseason acquisition. He came in, watch, he does a nice job. He gets inside. You've got to lead him inside. The ball winds up being outside. These are the little things that quarterbacks and wide receivers have to work out. What happens when you get on top of a guy? Where should you lead him?
Before they picked him up as a free agent, he averaged almost 17.5 yards a catch for 4 seasons. Blitz again. Mathis makes the catch. And they'll mark him down at the 42. That will be another first down.
I'll tell you, Chris Chandler's getting hammered. Mike Mamula, number 59, that time hit him as he threw.
Terrence Mathis working one-on-one. Bobby Taylor squats. He breaks it out. You know, Terrence Mathis is the type of a receiver who just doesn't get the credit.
Well, look at the blocking here. Now, here comes Mamula. They have a stunt. He's a defensive end. He comes all the way in, almost over the guard, and makes the hit.
The only guy that's not blitzing for Jim Johnson's defense is Jim Johnson.
Here they come.
Anderson. No chance. Cut down at the 39. Tim Houck, all 187 pounds of him from a safety spot, came up.
I love what Jim Johnson said about Tim Houck. He says when he's on the field, 3 things are going to happen, and they may not all necessarily be good. He said, number 1, he's going to hit somebody, knock himself out. Number 2, he's going to hit the other guy, knock him out. He said number 3, he's probably going to hit one of our guys and maybe knock him out.
He's just so much fun to watch him play.
Well, I'm going to tell you, what's fun is to watch this Philadelphia defense. They're putting 8 guys on the line. I mean, they're up in that box, and they're just coming. They don't care.
13 times this year, Jamal Anderson has been tackled in the backfield.
Here they come.
Chandler rolls away from it. Throws on the run. Tim Dwight at the 49.
Art Shell, the offensive line coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Great player he was, but I tell you, he's looking at that line and he's saying, you know, when you keep changing people around, one thing about the offensive line, you have to have consistency. And if you don't, you can't block anybody. You've got to know what the guy next to you is going to do. Now that guy's consistent. He's consistently good.
3rd and 4. Eagles show blitz. Chandler has his pass knocked away. Houck got out in front of Anderson.
Boy, you talk about guys jumping on a route, man. He was there. He saw it all the way.
They are always moving towards the line of scrimmage as defensive backs. Tim Houck does a nice job of anticipating. Here he is outside on Jamal Anderson. He's gone out to cover the back, so that's what you want. You want the safety on a back, except this time the safety won.
Houck wasn't re-signed until after the final preseason game. He wanted a new contract. They weren't going to give it to him. Straczynski hangs another beauty. And the fair catch made by Mitchell at the 13-yard line. 38-yard kick, no chance of a return. Chris Chandler is taking a pounding, and his club is down by 14. Andy Reid's sons, Garrett on the left, Britt on the right, and both football players. Garrett was a quarterback last year, but he grew a lot. Now he's a center. I have never heard of that transition before.
Yeah, Andy says he's got the best arm in all the school as a center. And getting about as big as his dad, too.
The Eagles from their own 13. McNabb, and incomplete. Lost the ball and lost a shoe, did Chad Lewis. Andy Reid was a tackle on the BYU team that featured Jim McMahon at quarterback. And Reid ended up eventually coaching Jim McMahon in the pros.
Yeah, when he got him, he and, you know, Brett Favre is just a fun kind of guy, sort of a little different. And Brett walked up to Andy and said, boy, that McMahon really is different.
Yes, he was.
Sort of looked at him like, yeah, right.
Deuce Staley, not used too much tonight. He swarmed under near the 15-yard line.
So the other day, what did McMahon say? He said, when I found out that one of my offensive linemen in college was going to be coaching me, that's the time to get out of football.
That was the time to quit. When your position coach is a guy you played with in college, it's time to leave.
Deuce Staley, 9 carries, 21 yards, 3 catches for another 4.
Well, you know, we talked about it at the beginning, Joe. You said the whole load goes on to Donovan McNabb, and he's handled it very well.
He's delivered tonight.
McNabb scrambling on 3rd and 9. Flag is down. So is McNabb. Patrick Kearney got him from behind. Now we'll check the marker.
Now here's the situation again when you're asking that offensive line to hold out the defensive line for a long period of time.
Holding offense, number 76. The penalty is declined, makes it 4th down.
Wellborn, who was injured in the first half and has come back into the lineup, was called for the hold, and now Landetta will have to punt away.
Better pick up your flag. Forget your flag.
Landetta, the second team punter on the team of the 90s, the first team punter on the team of the 80s, and there's Tim Dwight, who might get punt return guy of the 2000s. Oh, beauty by Landetta. A cannon shot back to the 30. Dwight has the seam. Tim Dwight.
Goodbye. No flags.
70 yards for the touchdown.
Oh, they set that wall up so perfect. This is textbook. He had one guy to beat to get to the wall.
You know, you hear people say at times, Joe, where a punter outkicks his coverage. This was a time when the punter, Sean Landetta, actually outkicked his coverage. Take a look at this. Tim Dwight, he gets going, and there's only one guy to beat, and that's to the outside, and it's all over right now.
Watch the block by 54. You just saw the body flying there. That was Chris Draft. And Dwight takes it to the house to put the Falcons right back in it. And Joe DeCamillis says, yes, sir. In the last 3 weeks, special teams has recovered 2 opponents' fumbled punt returns, recovered an onside kick, blocked a punt, blocked a field goal, forced another aborted field goal try, had a 100-yard kickoff return, and this was a 70-yard punt return. Joe DeCamillis for president. Forget the other 2 guys. Coming up next, Sports Center, Dan Patrick and Rich Eisen. Here are the stories they'll be following. The Major League Baseball playoff picture, which changed today. Our Sunday's conversation with Barry Bonds, who's had an incredible year with San Francisco, and the NFL blitz. Tim Dwight just blitzed for 70 yards and a touchdown to get the Falcons back within 7. Morton Anderson kicking to Mitchell and Douglas. Damian Douglas trying to return the favor. Damian Douglas to the 40.
I'll tell you one thing. If Damian Douglas would have broken to his right once he got through the pile, it was only he and Morton Anderson that were left.
We see kickers all the time make a feeble effort at trying to tackle someone. I'm not saying this is a great one, but Morton Anderson saved a touchdown.
ESPN Sunday Night Football is brought to you by Texas Instruments, the world leader in DSP and analog. By Visa, it's everywhere NFL fans want to be. By Quaker State Motor Oil for protection beyond 3,000 miles. And by Best Western. Best Western, the world's largest hotel chain. So we've had a 70-yard punt return followed by a 41-yard kickoff return. McNabb pressured up the middle, slips a tackle, escapes another one. Donovan McNabb with a first down.
I'll tell you, Patrick Kearney thought he had him dead, number 97, and it gives you, again, the feet on this young man. I mean, we've seen his arm throwing the football. Watch this, folks. Here comes, well, there's Patrick Kearney. He really thought he had him right there. There's another miss, and this guy, great feet back to the outside and out of bounds.
His ability to run the football reminds me of Dante Culpepper. They're that powerful a runner. If you get them up high, they can break tackles. They have the athletic ability to step out of anything down low.
Has 7 carries, 57 yards on the ground. Deuce Staley. Flag is down.
Holding.
And this will come back on the hold.
Holding offense, number 76. 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
Well, we just saw a great punt return and a great kickoff return, and there's a pair of white shoes. Who do you think those belong to? One of the best ever. Billy White shoes. John, I didn't know you could find white shoes anymore.
Billy has about 12 of them in his closet still.
Can I tell you, when
I
did a game when he was in Canada, and I'll tell you about Billy White shoes right after this play.
Boy, he was something special. McNabb scrambling again and throws short underneath, complete down at the 30. His tight end Chad Lewis again.
Billy White Shoes Johnson was in Canada for 1 year. He was a punt returner, and you know how wide the fields are in Canada?
Yes, I do.
He caught the ball on the left-hand side, and the punt return was to the right-hand side. By the time he got all the way to the other side of the field, because I talked to him after the game, he said, I was too tired to turn up. I said, I already ran 65 yards, and I didn't even get to the sideline yet.
I never ran 65.
Great player, this guy.
2nd and 11. McNabb guns that one. Is it a catch? And it is. At the 11-yard line, a diving effort by Charles Johnson.
Charles Johnson was sort of the Lone Ranger early on in the year. Now that he's got Torrance Small back, makes a difference. Ray Buchanan in a bail technique. You see him just focusing on McNabb all the way. He feels Johnson stop. Johnson does a nice job of coming back to the ball. Good throw by Donovan McNabb. Gets those hands underneath for the reception.
Eagles trying to get those points back. Deuce Staley behind Martin, and he is buried as he got inside the 10.
There are going to be 2 running backs that won't be getting out of bed early tomorrow morning.
And neither will Chris Chandler.
Yeah, well, we got 2 running backs and a quarterback. But Deuce Staley, I mean, he has not been able to move anywhere, and you really have to give the credit to Donovan McNabb. All of this whole evening, his offense went on his shoulders, and he just accepted it perfectly. He has done everything they've asked him to do.
Spot the ball just inside the 9. 4 wide receivers set. McNabb, Johnson inside the 1. Well, it was a good throw and a better catch.
Yeah, it was, but I'll tell you what, we talked about it in the first half about the lanes being there with the offensive line blocking, Mike. This offensive line is doing a terrific job.
They bring it into a little bunch and put the tight end in motion. You see the 3 receivers together. That's a bunch. Boy, he just gets Williams turned around.
All right, just take a look at this hole that he has to throw the ball in. You don't see any white shirts, and you don't see any green shirts in front of him. This offensive line just spreads people out. He throws in the lane.
They will be short of the first down. So it's 3rd and inches.
Last time the Eagles were down in this territory in a goal line situation, they spread it out and didn't have any success. They tried a little shovel pass. That didn't work. The key here is going to be for their offensive line to get under the Falcons' defensive line and get them back on their heels to create a little bit of space.
Well, I'd run at Runyon. I mean, you pay him all that money.
$30 million, let him block somebody, right?
I would think so.
Mayberry's over on that side. Mayberry's at 325. Runyon's at 330.
Eddie George said when they signed Runyon away from Tennessee, well, you don't have to worry about the right side of the line anymore.
Well, they had to sign him because they had to have someone for Trey Thomas to talk to. They're both 6'8". So, you know, this way they can talk to each other eye to eye.
3rd and inches. The fullback, Martin.
I don't believe he got it.
Jesse Tuggle was there.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's where they ran. They ran right at Runyon's side. And Jesse Tuggle, number 58, just shoots the gap, and he's in the backfield. Look at this. The linemen do their job, and then now it's up for the linebacker's job to come up and make the play, which he does. Look at number 58, Jesse Tuggle. See the linemen? They're all down. Here comes Tuggle. His job is to get the running back, along with Marty Carter.
Now, the fans are booing this decision by Andy Reid to send the field goal team on. I'm not. I think it's an excellent decision.
Since the only point you've given up is on a punt return, if you go up by 10, you've got to feel pretty good about it.
And the other part of it is your offense hasn't been able to pound it in at all down here.
Akers has already hit from 39 and 38. This one from 19 yards to give Andy Reid and company a 10-point lead. And Akers is true. And the lead now extends to 17-7. Eagles over the Falcons from the vet in Philadelphia. Let's go beyond the headlines for you. The Rams now with 217 points, the most over any 5-game span since the 1961 Oilers. They won the AFC championship, or the AFL championship. The Ravens, the second NFL team in the last 50 years with 3 shutouts in the first 5. The Redskins did it in '91. They won the Super Bowl. And road teams have won 53% of the games this year. Road teams won 40% of the NFL games in the 1990s. So being on the road, not necessarily a nasty thing this year. We want to talk about the things that happened today that we saw. How do you stop the St. Louis offense? Forget it.
Well, I'll tell you, the game I watched the whole game today was the Jacksonville game. We're going to be there next Sunday night, and I'll tell you what, I am really disappointed in their offense. First of all, on offense, they're not able to run the ball, and on defense, Joe, they can't stop the run.
Yeah, they're not tough. That's why Tennessee owned them for 3 games last year. They're physically just not a tough team. The second half last year, I mean, people took it to them. In this game, it was just physically pounded by Pittsburgh. They just went at them toe-to-toe. And I think that football team lacks the toughness to be able to get in a brawl-type game. Mike, you talked about the Rams. You have to try and get them on grass with it about 4 inches high and then water it all night to try and slow down those receivers. They're just physically too fast for everyone.
I think you better try quicksand. Dwight, who had a 70-yard punt return the last time he touched the ball, hurdles forward to the 29. Monday Night Countdown tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern. Mike Tirico and the gang review Sunday's top stories and preview the Monday night matchup. Then at 9, it's ABC's Monday Night Football. Ricky Watters and the Seahawks enter the unfriendly confines of Arrowhead to battle the Chiefs. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where the Atlanta Falcon offense now has a daunting task. They haven't produced any points tonight. It came on special teams. They need 10 to tie. Jamal Anderson, nowhere to go. Barry Gardner cut him down.
The one thing I've noticed about the Atlanta Falcon offense is you see the Eagles, for example, go with 3 and 4 wide receivers, 5 wide receivers. The Falcons have gone with basically 2 wide receivers most of the time on 1st and 10.
Well, we talked about all the other linebackers. Barry Gardner, number 52. Watch this. He slides to the outside. He sees Jamal Anderson. He jumps back inside and tackles him for a 2-yard loss. That's what you call staying at home and playing your position as a linebacker.
They drafted Gardner thinking he would play in the middle, but Jeremiah Trotter has assumed that role, and Gardner is on the right outside. Chandler with a quick set. Jefferson. And wrapped up in a hurry by Bobby Taylor.
Well, this is something we've been seeing all night, how quick these corners and safeties are on people and linebackers.
But I want to go back. When you play with 2 wide receivers, you don't really force a team like the Eagles out of 7 and 8 in the box. You don't spread them out. They're just going to sit there and make it impossible for you to run the football and bring people, and Jim Johnson's just going to keep on bringing people till they pound Chris Chandler in the submission.
3rd and 3 for Atlanta.
You got 8 guys right around. Look at that. Look at that. Right around the line of scrimmage again.
Chandler throws behind Reggie Kelly. Tim Houck on the coverage. And Houck in there because Brian Dawkins is injured. He's done a great job.
I'll show you all the people around the line of scrimmage. Look at this. Everybody's coming. They're all coming to put pressure on Chris Chandler. Pressure comes. You jump up and knock the ball, try and knock the ball away, and I mean, Houck's right there with his back to Chandler.
You should have put a little arrow on the umpire because he kind of stepped up also.
He's got that camera on. I don't want to knock his camera off.
I get caught up in it. Mitchell, fair catch. Flag is down, and Mitchell juggles, but recovers at the 24. Another fine kick by Dan Straczynski. 39 yards and no return. We'll check the flag.
holding against Atlanta.
I'd make him kick it again. Give Brian Mitchell another chance. Joe D. He says it's against them. No, it is against the Eagles.
Well, the first signal was against Atlanta.
Phil will check it out.
Come on, ref.
He's picked somebody. This guy's waiting to either boo or cheer. I mean,
and he doesn't know which yet.
Holding receiving team number 56. The foul occurred during the kick. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Mike Caldwell, a linebacker, called for the hold. Got a timeout on the field. Fourth quarter. It's a 10-point game. Philadelphia's always had a great tradition of being an outstanding sports town. Some tremendous heroes they've had. Carlton Schmidt for the Phillies. Bobby Clark for the Flyers. Wilt Chamberlain, the greatest scorer. Dr. J. Chuck Bednarik, the legendary hit on Frank Gifford. Our buddy Ron Jaworski. Reggie White, the Minister of Defense. And they hope the next one in line is Donovan McNabb, who tonight has had career highs in attempts, completions, and yards. 24, 37 for 250. And this city has not had a championship in a pro sport since 1983, when Dr. J was in his heyday, and they are hungry for one.
The guy they booed at the draft.
Yes, sir.
Guy you didn't want.
Yeah, I like cheering him tonight.
I wish the mayor hadn't concentrated so much on wanting to get Ricky Williams started working on his stadium.
Well, they have a real stadium problem here. We'll get into that in a little bit. And the fans know what they want. McNabb, the tight end again, Reggie Kelly, who's had a big night tonight.
Donovan McNabb just did a really nice job on that play, sliding in the pocket, but he's been very consistent all evening. He's either run with the football, as he does here, picking up a key first down, or throwing the ball on the run to Torrance Small. Now he sits in the pocket and fires it to Torrance Small for a touchdown. Then he goes back and shows that he can play Houdini, and then shows the sign of intelligence by getting out of bounds.
Deuce drags the tackler with him up to the 30.
Deuce expected this kind of a night. He expected it to be just small amounts of yardage, just pounding away, hoping that he could break it.
He's kind of limping a little bit.
When you take a look at the NFC East, think of what a big game this could be for the Eagles. The Redskins struggled out of the box. Dallas has struggled. The Giants have lost the last two. The Eagles can go to 3-2 if they win tonight.
And the Redskins have only won one game here in the 90s. They're 1-9 at this stadium.
Broughton, the tight end, short gain, and then brought down. Nice play by Chris Draft, who's in there for Keith Brooking.
You know, I'm looking at Deuce Staley walking off, and there he is there, and you think about, you know, when you start out the season with 201 yards like he did against the Dallas Cowboys, you're marked for the next 15 games, unless you do go into the playoffs, but for at least the next 15 games, and he really hasn't done much since that first game. You can watch him now, and they just roll up on his ankle.
You can see his right ankle get rolled over. That'll only happen, Paul, if Donovan McNabb struggles. And I think they're going to have to start loosening up a little bit because he's throwing the ball very well.
That means Brian Mitchell will be the running back, and Mitchell goes out in the flat, takes the pass, and has the first down. Mitchell has always been an excellent receiver. That's only his second catch of the year for this club, though.
The other thing I like the way that Andy Reid has called this game for Donovan McNabb. I think a lot of pressure falls on a coordinator when you have a young quarterback to give him things to work with. What Andy said is that I'm not going to just work on the things that Donovan does well. I'm going to give him every throw that he has to make and let him learn to become the complete package.
This is a good old-fashioned country rear-end kicker. 356 to 90 yards in total offense. McNabb throws back to Mitchell. 45, 40-yard line, another first down.
Well, there's a case of you got a backup linebacker in there for Keith Brook and Chris Draft, number 54, and he doesn't cover Mitchell coming out of the backfield. You know, you got to give Philadelphia a lot of credit. They go into this game with 2 running backs and 2 fullbacks, and Mitchell is the backup running back, so he's the only running back they really have in the game now. But watch this throw back, and you're going to see a guy coming into the screen pretty soon. Well, right there, number 54, who's Chris Draft, but that's his man.
First down, Eagles, just shy of the 40. 3 wide receivers, the single setback is Mitchell. He'll get it on the draw. Brian Mitchell, 30, 20. Bradford made the tackle, but it's a run of 20 yards for Brian Mitchell.
Boy, they block so well on that left side of that offensive line. John Wilburn just seals everything to the inside, and this is wide open. Number 58 is Jesse Tuggle. Look at Wilburn. He is the guy that gets on Jesse Tuggle, number 76, and he seals him off, and then Mitchell just gets himself back to the outside.
But you know what helps that is more wide receivers than just 2. We see Atlanta cram down. The Eagles are spreading out this Falcon defense.
Blitz coming. Mitchell again. 9 more. And Deuce Staley will have to limp to the locker room.
You know, Joe, the people in the stands say, well, wait a minute, why didn't Deuce do this?
I know.
Because they've not given Mitchell the same respect they gave Deuce Staley.
Well, no, they're not calling the same plays that they called for Deuce. Because Brian is really the guy they look at as a receiver in this backfield, although Deuce caught 22 coming in. And Brian Mitchell is the guy they feel like if they can get the ball in his hands, it's just like a kick return for him.
Mitchell's done a great job, and McNabb has now hit 300 yards passing tonight. 17-7 Eagles. Donovan McNabb with the first 300-yard game of his short career. Chris Chandler has been held to 64 yards, only 8 of 19.
This is only Donovan McNabb's 11th start. Here's a guy who's really just starting and learning.
Second and a yard from the 11. McNabb on a little half roll. Throws back against the grain into the end zone. Touchdown, Charles Johnson. It's Donovan McNabb's coming out party.
You'll see Charles Johnson come in motion. Dan Reeves looking at all the fireworks. He's watching everything explode in front of him. Here he comes down in motion. The play action is away. He just works to the soft spots. Here he slows down. That's a good job by a receiver, just sort of stopping the hole.
That play was very nicely designed. Akers. (24-7) Eagles. Donovan McNabb tearing up the Falcon defense. Seven. And the vet is rocking. Tim Dwight has provided the only score for the Falcons on a 70-yard punt return. Accelerates across the 40 to the 43-yard line, then overwhelmed by green shirts. Monday Night Countdown tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern. Mike Tirico and the gang review Sunday's top stories and preview the Monday night matchup. Then at 9, it's ABC's Monday Night Football. Ricky Watters and the Seahawks enter the unfriendly confines of Arrowhead to battle the Chiefs. This is a statistician's dream. 417 yards to 90. Time of possession, 31-25 to 1956.
That's frightening.
And this was the problem for the Falcons defense last year. When you have almost 2-to-1 number of plays against you, the defense is on the field the entire night. They can't get off. Anderson on a little dump off and gets in Eagle territory at the 49, but there's a flag down.
They're going to call holding against the Eagles.
snowy.
Gee, just, you know, I see things sometimes.
I'll tell you what.
Holding of an eligible receiver. Defense, number 23. 5-yard penalty with an automatic. First down.
I have a question. Can you hold an ineligible receiver?
I'm sure you can, but I don't think it's going to make
First time I've ever heard that.
Charles Johnson with that touchdown pass, talking to Torrance Small. And his son gets the football. CJ the third.
Now what am I supposed to do with it, Dad?
Cute little boy.
What do I do with it now?
Blitz coming. Chandler seen it all night long. Jefferson nailed immediately by Troy Vincent.
This has just got to kill Jim Johnson. I mean, he's so aggressive, the defensive coordinator of the Eagles. He brings so many people to the line of scrimmage, and he's so aggressive. Here he's got his team given a little bit of ground. I just don't see him being very comfortable with this type of style of defense.
Jamal Anderson. I was just going to say, yeah, I'm sure he's really upset. His defense has now given up over 100 yards.
Yeah, I mean, that's really probably upsets him.
Well, you know, that's why some at the end of the game, when you look at some of the stats, how padded they are, because people allow you to move the ball up and down the field. You got them 24/7. Why not?
Especially in the passing game.
Corey Simon, their first-round draft choice out of Florida State. They needed a guy to give them a push up the middle. He has done it. Made Hugh Douglas more effective in his defensive end spot, although Douglas has been shut down pretty well by Bob Whitfield tonight. Chandler with a quick out to Mathis and skipped it to him. If you have ever been to Texas in the middle of summer, you can just imagine what it's like to go out for football practice. But one guy, Jeremiah Trotter, loved going out for football practice, because if he didn't, he was at home in his father's wood shop chopping wood all day and all night. They had lights outside. His dad, who passed away, worked every day of his life chopping wood and just about everything else, and Trotter couldn't wait to go out in 100-degree heat and practice football. Chandler had that one batted down at the line of scrimmage.
You know, Mike, also, Jeremiah Trotter wanted to stay in school. He came out early because the family needed really the money to survive. And after he was drafted in April, his dad passed away in May.
Here's Jeremiah Trotter, number 54, and he's been doing this all night long, coming up the middle. Look at this. Boom, boom, boom. Whiting is the guy, Brandon Whiting is the guy, number 98, that knocks the ball down. But Trotter has been in the backfield most of the evening.
Morton Anderson will come on to try a field goal. Would get it within 2 touchdowns. This will be a 48-yarder. He leads both New Orleans and Atlanta in career points. The only player ever to do it. Great long-range kicker throughout his career. That one from 48 is good. Morton Anderson knocks it through, and the Falcons have cut it to 14. Dan Patrick and Rich Eisen standing by to bring you Sports Center, including the Major League Baseball playoff picture. Barry Bonds is our Sunday conversation, and the NFL Blitz. But we're not done here. 6:42 to go in the ballgame. 24-10 Philadelphia. Mitchell from the 10. Mitchell! Can he go 90? He can.
Mitchell trying to make another statement. Watch this. Shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. He gets up into the middle. Now he turns it on. Morton Anderson with a one-hand touch. That doesn't count in this league. And then he outruns Williams into the end zone.
That is the 11th time in his career he has returned a punt or a kickoff for a touchdown. That ties Eric Metcalf's all-time NFL record of 11 combined punt and kickoff returns 4 touchdowns. The Redskins let him go. He couldn't wait to get another opportunity, and he has been a huge bonus for Philadelphia.
And he wanted to go someplace where he would be able to play against the Redskins.
Yes, he did.
And next week, he'll have his opportunity.
I'll tell you one thing what happens is this is a classic example of not staying in your lanes. Number 87, Jamie Germain on the right-hand side, he jumps out of the way. And when he does that, he gets blocked. Mitchell here, once he hits the open field, and that was at about the 50-yard line, he was gone.
Watch Thomason and Shao put the block on. There's Gary Downs. He just gets absolutely stopped in his tracks. Look at the double team that allows Brian Mitchell to take off and go.
And Mitchell still got a little juice, doesn't he?
A lot of juice. All right, Mike Caldwell, number 56. He's just going to, he gets an excellent block right here. Take a look at this.
Pretty good hold
when
as
you
well.
Hold, if you hold in close, they can't see.
If you don't get caught, it's not holding.
Brian Mitchell. 11 times on kickoffs and punt returns.
John Harbaugh, who took over as the special teams coach, has really made a difference from taking an attitude on special teams to say, let's not mess up, to an attitude of let's go out and win football games. And that's what they've done tonight. They've set the pace.
Tim Dwight back the other way, shakes a tackle, can't shake a second one.
The NHL on ESPN and ESPN2 kicks off with a bang. The season debuts Wednesday. The Stars and Avalanche collide. Thursday, the Sedin Twins make their NHL debut against the Flyers. Friday, the Devils raise their Stanley Cup banner and Jaromir Jagr goes to Japan. October 11th, Mark Messier returns to the Garden as a New York Ranger. That's all on the worldwide leader in sports.
You know, I don't think this guy's going to have a problem getting a ride home. I think the little white van's waiting out there.
A couple little guys in white outfits just waiting for him to finish here. If you're looking for him, here he is. They're Eagle fans. What do you expect? Oh, this is great. Watch this. Handshake. No, let me try this one. There we go. Yep. Going to try every conceivable way to congratulate a guy.
Barry Gardner, the injured player on special teams, able to get up and come off, gets a nice hand out of Northwestern. As we said, they brought him in primarily to be the middle linebacker, but he's turned out to be a fine outside linebacker while Trotter went to the middle.
Hey, and his school's doing. How about Northwestern?
Oh.
They are rolling. And you.
Can't turn your head in the Big Ten without somebody getting knocked off, can you?
You can't turn your head out here either.
NU.
Northwestern University.
NU.
Well, you missed the W.
There's a W in there somewhere, Joe. I know you went to Notre Dame.
That's why he didn't go to Northwestern.
No, it's all one word. It's all one word.
Look out. Chandler drilled.
You pay the price with a rookie. Mike Mamula goes against Michael Thompson. One-on-one, and Mamula wins it. Lower left part of your screen, number 66 against number 59. Mamula is really delivering the blow to Thompson and then just goes around him.
Well, Michael Thompson's got to learn how to move his feet. You can make contact at the line of scrimmage, but you got to keep your feet moving.
Chris Chandler's just trying to stay alive at this point. 3-man rush this time. Chandler throws a strike to Tim Dwight. There's a marker down as he's out to the 35. Gain of 24. We'll check the penalty.
Well, there's a holding on the defense. That's a first down anyway.
Holding an eligible receiver. Defense number 31. The penalty is declined. The pass was complete for a first down.
We know two guys that have not quit all night long, and that's Bob Whitfield, number 70, against Hugh Douglas, number 53. Watch these two. These two guys have been doing this all night long. And Bob Whitfield was talking about it. He said, right after the New Orleans game, I'll get into it in a second.
Dwight. Oh. Caldwell just annihilated it.
There's no catch.
There's almost no head.
You finish your story in a second. I want to take everybody to the field so you get to look at cam watch this in real time. There's the drop back. There's the throw. Ow! You saw it up close and personal.
Here it is. Take a look at this. Caldwell just times it perfectly. You know what? I don't know if that may be a catch.
No. He's got to have his feet on the ground. They never got close to the ground. There it is again. He's airborne until his back hits.
The only thing that hit the ground was his shoulder blades. And I tell you what, Tim Dwight knew he was going to get drilled. He's got a lot of guts at 180 pounds to go over the middle. Mathis up at the 41.
Let me go to Bob Whitfield again on Hugh Douglas. Bob Whitfield said he talked to William Rault at New Orleans. He said, what about Hugh Douglas? He said he's relentless. He never stops. I put him on the ground. I body slammed him. And the guy gets back up, and he's back in your face. He said he will not quit until a ball game is over.
And Hugh Douglas said he had never been as tired after a game as he had after that game against William Rowe. Christian makes the catch. Trotter makes the tackle.
The thing that's impressive about the Philadelphia Eagles is it's the second youngest team in the National Football League. And they just have a few things that they need to add to even be more dynamic on offense. Certainly Donovan McNabb has stepped up and done a terrific job tonight. I think they need to add some speed at the wide receiver position. But defensively, they can sure make it happen.
They can make it a long day for you, can't they? Yes, they can.
The Eagles defense has done the job. 13 points in the previous two games coming in. They've only given up 10 tonight. And that wasn't even 7 points. That wasn't even against the defense. It was a kick return. Jamal Anderson down to the 38.
I told you Jim Johnson would get bored sitting back. That time he brought the linebackers again.
Atlanta in the hurry-up. Jamal Anderson, 47 yards on the night. It's taken him 19 carries to get it, though. Chandler with plenty of time. Throws underneath. And incomplete. So Eagles is a young, aggressive defense, and you can see with Jim Johnson's calls tonight, he's taking advantage of that aggression. I mean, he just sent them loose.
Well, Chris Chandler that time rolled out to his right, Joe, and he had two white shirts in front of his guys.
Had to push his
scared him.
Yeah, had to push his lineman out of the way.
Yeah, kind of scared me. What am I doing out here? And I don't see any green shirts. And then he misses the throw.
Did a terrific job in Indianapolis when he was the defensive coordinator. Jim Johnson did. Now in just 2 years, he's starting to mold a very aggressive defense.
Three-man rush against Chandler. Throws for Dwight. Incomplete. And this looks too much like 1999 for the Atlanta Falcons after the Super Bowl victory, or Super Bowl appearance in '98.
You know, and they were the game against the Rams last week in the first half. They really were in that game.
Yes, they were.
Until that fumble was returned, and then bang, the Rams hit a touchdown, put 14 points up on the board against Dan Reeves' football team. Now it isn't just the offensive line. I think he's got to search and try and figure out. He's got to figure out a way to get the ball down the field and some points on the board.
Blitz coming. Chandler overthrown. Harris on Mathis.
Oh, man, I'm going to tell you something. And they are still sending a lot of people after him. Damian Moore, number 43, is a free safety. He was back there with Chandler. I mean, like you said, Jim Johnson, okay, he said, okay, for a while, you want to sit back? I'm not going to do that. My defense is too good. I'm going to send them after. Look at all of these guys that are back in Chandler's face.
Well, you got to hand it to Chris Chandler. He has just taken a beating tonight and hangs in there. 4th and 10. Obviously, they will go for it down 21. Blitz again. Chandler throws to Dwight. All Now, of course, it's difficult, Joe and Paul, to take anything from a situation like this when you're down 21 points. But here's the effectiveness you were talking about earlier of having at least 3 wide receivers with Dwight in there.
I think Atlanta's got to take a look at their style of offense, and I know that they have plays in there where they'll use multiple wide receivers as more than 2 in some way, shape, or form. And they're just going to have to do that to move just the defensive people out of the box and give Jamal a chance to run if you want to put him in the backfield with him.
I agree with you totally. You just can't go with 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a fullback, and a halfback and expect to do anything. And especially the kind of defense that Philadelphia plays. And when the other teams that look at this offense are going to do exactly the same thing. They're going to bring linebackers, they're going to bring safeties, they're going to bring corners until you can prove that you can beat them on the outside.
Donovan McNabb proved tonight if you want to put people up around the line of scrimmage, I can find ways to get the ball down the field. I think people now have to look at the Eagles a little bit differently and maybe to loosen up Deuce and make them loose.
2nd and 10, another blitz. Chandler underneath. We've got Mathis down to the 15.
I'll tell you, defensively, though, even though Donovan McNabb in the first half kind of moved the ball up and down the field, the Falcons really played pretty well in the first half. I mean, they kept that thing within 6. But then you can only hold these guys so long, and your offense had to do something, and Atlanta's offense did nothing.
Blitz coming. Chandler has to throw that one into the ground as he's nailed again. Trotter had him. Haupt was coming on a blitz.
Well, Trotter got him, you know, and he just keeps getting up slower and slower. 54 is Jeremiah Trotter, and you're going to see what happens. Here they come with more people. There's 54 in the ump cam. Look at this, Joe. There's nobody to block him. He just sneaks right by the center. The center's got to see him and pick him up.
Well, you know, the other thing, too, is you talk about middle linebackers. I mean, Hardy Nickerson's gone out of the NFC. Randall Godfrey's gone out of the NFC. Jeremiah Trotter certainly has got to be one of those guys you start to think about as a Pro Bowl-type middle linebacker because really there aren't a lot of pure ones here.
Another blitz, incomplete. Chandler throwing for Dwight.
Besides that, he's pretty darn good.
Yes, he is. And the Eagles able to strut off the field after holding again.
This was as complete a team victory as you'll find. Offense, defense, and special teams by the Eagles.
These overhead shots provided by the Yahoo Sports Aerial Cam high above Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia.
Yahoo.
Do you, Yahoo?
I tell you, Atlanta's going to say, Yahoo, this is over.
Yahoo, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
So all the Eagles have to worry about now is killing the clock. And
They've
they
already killed
will have
Atlanta.
yes, they have. Certainly Chris Chandler. And they will have their 3rd victory of the season to go to 3-2.
You know, and if you're the Atlanta Falcons, I really believe that there comes a point where you use your timeouts. If you're Dan Reeves, and he probably will because he's that type of a competitor and an intense guy. I don't see any reason using your timeouts after the 2-minute warning here.
I agree with you.
It's not going to change the outcome of this game.
Staley has an injury to his foot. There goes Mitchell. Brian Mitchell. Touchdown. Are you kidding me?
Just run it out. Just run the clock out.
85 yards.
Oh, you got to dream about a night like this if you're Brian Mitchell.
Well, I think with defensively, the Atlanta's figure, well, they're going to run it. There's 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Let's just run the clock down to the 2-minute warning. And here comes Mitchell out of the middle. There is nobody in the middle of the field. And once he sees the opening, it is goodbye. Ashley Ambrose, 33. Ray Buchanan trying to chase him. They don't even come near him.
Jesse Tuggle gets completely out of position. Jesse slides all the way to the right, gets behind a pile, and can't find Brian Mitchell until he sees the 30 going the other way and he can read his name.
Brian Mitchell in his 11th year. A lot of gas left in the tank. The Eagles flying high at home. Dan Patrick and Rich Eisen getting ready for Sports Center. They'll have the Major League Baseball playoff picture for you. The Sunday conversation with Barry Bonds and our NFL Blitz. That comes up right after we're done here. You want a one-man army? Number 30 is your one-man army.
This is unbelievable.
I'll tell you, this is absolutely incredible. I don't know if I've ever seen a stat like this before in my life. But Brian Mitchell is just beaten Atlanta by himself. 2 rushes for 105 yards and a touchdown, 3 catches for 35 yards, 5 returns for 191 yards and a touchdown.
And that adds up to
10 touches for 331 yards. Are you crazy?
You don't have enough game balls. I mean, you don't give one, you give him like 3 game balls.
That's right.
Just give him 3. Look at
331 combined yards for Brian Mitchell.
I think when we were looking at Sports Center before, they were talking about voting or primetime. They were talking about voting for the most outstanding performance. He gets my vote.
And they'll whistle a dead on the return. ESPN Sunday Night Football is brought to you by Nortel Networks. We're building the new high-performance internet. By True Value, where help is just around the corner. By McDonald's, we love to see you smile. And by Hewlett-Packard, inventing new ways to live and work. Well, this is a night Brian Mitchell will never forget. And Jamal Anderson, he will just as soon not remember.
Happy birthday. Right. That's what he's thinking right now.
Hand this ball off and get out of here. There you go.
Well, Danny Cannell has come in to play quarterback, and Bob Christie, or check it. Maurice Smith, the rookie out of North Carolina A&T, gets a carry.
There'll be a couple of guys in a white jacket in just a minute. Did you go home?
Chris Chandler will be first in line for the Whirlpool tonight.
He was a warrior tonight. He hung in there and just took a pounding.
Oh, man.
They came after him, and he took everything they could dish out.
Yes, he did. Falcons trying to get out of here now. Maurice Smith hit and dropped.
Jason Bostic coming up to make the play. The Eagles as a whole, their secondary, they have excellent hands as a group, and they're also very good tacklers. And Paul, we were talking about this the other day. Of the 16 sacks that they had coming into tonight's game, 15 of them were by the defensive linemen. That's a lot of pressure from the guys up front.
Cannell with time, throws to Smith. Across midfield.
Got a great one next week.
Certainly it will be interesting. The Ravens and the Jaguars, the rematch.
And I think the Jaguars are going to have to step up and really play a physical football game. They've got to prove they can do that.
And perhaps a performance like this tonight for the Eagles will give some impetus to that new stadium, getting some movement, because they have to do something about this building that they're in right now.
Tied for first place.
Final score, the Eagles 38, the Falcons 10. Sports Center is next with Dan Patrick and Rich Eisen. All the news scores.